Troop, there it is. Hey, welcome everybody. I think we're live now. Hey AJ, how are you doing?
Pretty goddamn good right now.
Well, as you guys know,
Gearing up.
we are going to be having a fun show today. We're going to be having a very good guest. Quick cutting up backstage and hit that go live button. Oh, be quiet. We're only 2 minutes late. I swear. You know. But we're going to bring in our man of the hour today. Our man, the only, Jon Mankuta.
Kuda.
What's up?
You got the Kuda. How you doing, Jon?
Dear commercial. What's up?
What's up?
Hey, yo, Dookie.
Yeah. And my bestest buddy in the world right there, Blue Rhino right there.
Yes,
there
Blue
you
Rhino's
go.
here.
There you go.
There's the man of the hour right there, the Blue Rhino.
He is. He's the guy all the guests want to talk to.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
oh, yeah?
I mean, we might. That's the reason why we brought you on. We were just trying to get to him.
Trying to get to Blue Rhino. All the girls send the fan mail to Blue Rhino.
Oh, I see how it goes.
They're like,
now.
he's like the cute beetle, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, the cute
There's a
beetle.
cute beetle.
They were
There's
cute.
a cute beetle.
Well, Paul McCartney always got the fan mail. It's like, Ringo's star always was like, "I'm the ugly one. Are you sure?" It's like, yeah, Paul McCartney's getting all the fan mail.
Yeah, now look at
No,
Ringo.
no,
He
you
still
tell us
looks like
later.
he doesn't age.
Yeah, Ringo's got more money than me, so.
So how you've been holding up with everything going on right now?
Yeah, just as good as 2020 can allow it, man. I just had a birthday a
man.
few days ago, turned 29 again, and
Nice. Congratulations! Happy
thank you.
belated birthday, man! Woo!
thank you,
I'm
man.
gonna have
Thank
to-
you. Rock
I
on.
hope you had a good damn time that day.
Yeah, I mean, you know what it is? I did a live show on Johnny Beane TV, so it's like
It was
there's
a good
nothing better. If you're gonna social distance, do it with the fans. Have
Right.
fun making everyone laugh and being silly and just goofing around for a couple hours. That was a good birthday to me. So yeah,
That was excellent. What you drinking on there?
Oh baby, Bang energy drink.
Oh,
They're
he's
my
banging
number
it
one
out.
my number one sponsor. Them and Swiss Picks.
Ooh,
Oh yeah.
we're gonna get to
Baby.
that.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
Always.
Yeah. I've been seeing these
Looking
Swiss
beautiful.
picks going
Nice
around.
hot pink neon. Nice.
Have you guys tried these?
No,
I haven't
Yeah.
tried the Swiss picks yet.
Try these. If we were going to NAM, I'd give you some, but it's like
right.
they're just a real good gripping pick. They support the show. For those that haven't seen it yet, Talking Guitars and 80s Metal Live on YouTube Tuesday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific Coast time every week. And they're the two big sponsors. I mean,
Links in my
we got a
description.
couple of them, but
Links in my description. I put Johnny Beane Show in my description.
thank you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Do you think there
maybe
probably will
people
be
in
a
the-
summer NAM? A little bit small sized.
Summer NAM is like going to the garage sale and being like, "Oh, look, they have a guitar here. Check it out." It's just not NAM. Winter NAM is NAM. That's when like everyone comes from around the world and gathers down in Anaheim, and every rock star is there, every guitar company's there. That's like really that's NAM.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're
That's what I've
going
always
to be
heard.
away from that for a little while, I'm afraid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
suck.
Yeah, I was hearing Lars interview recently. He says concerts are maybe gonna come back in fall of 21, and he said that's only at the earliest, maybe.
I don't even think it will. Not 2021.
Neither do
I think the way the world is cooperating lately, I think 2022 will be the earliest that we'll see real actual
Real
concerts and stuff like that. You cross fingers, you hope.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It's gonna be a fucking hectic. Yeah, everybody's like, I can't wait for this year to be over. I'm just like, you realize we still got like another year and a half of this.
Yeah,
probably.
to 2021 ain't gonna be no picnic either. But I'm just reading the chat. Let's say hi to everyone in the chat.
Yeah, hi to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have people I love in here. Let's
First
see.
person to come in was Mickey.
And then my Jew homie Joe Hervey 84, my Long Island homeboy.
Joe.
My girl Sandra Picorni. Picorni, Picorni, me love you long time. I love Sandra. I've been on Sandra's show too, Communication Breakdown. Her and Gary
awesome.
Big G, her and Gary Big G Tholander, my buddy.
I have to check that out.
Let's see, skimming through the chat.
See, Bodark's out there. That's one of our friends.
Bodark.
Cool, man. How are you, brother?
Bodark.
Yeah, and then I know Charles Green's out there. I know he's working right now, but he's lurking out there.
And my band Ben Tom, I saw him yesterday too.
Oh,
Band and Hervey.
There's Tom.
And Tom Jr. Tom Jr. watches the shows too.
Oh,
really? Oh, awesome.
No, Sandra, I didn't bring any guitars to show with me today, but I may get naked. You never know what it's like.
Oh.
That's funny. We were just talking about that.
me getting naked. They're like, oh my god, what if Mankuta gets naked on the show? He's gonna ride out in a big dildo like Miley Cyrus in her concert, coming on like the Silver Surfer, but with a big dildo.
That's fucking entertainment right there, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Right there.
No one loves a good joke for entertainment purposes than me.
All we need is just the hat, the scarf, and maybe a pink thong.
And a pink sock on the schlong.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Helicopters all day.
Yeah,
so
news
You
helicopters.
got any questions for John for you?
And police.
Yeah, if anybody's
Mankuta, surrender. Mankuta, put pants on. Put pants on, Mankuta. Be great.
And just like the sock comes off.
Yeah, the sock comes off. That's all I got. The sock is the meat of it.
No,
without that sock and rubber band, baby, everyone's seeing my clit.
Woo!
That's hot.
Oh, man, I didn't know John had a mangina.
Yeah, the Mankuta's mangina.
Mancooter.
Let's see. Joe Hervey wants to see it in slow motion.
Oh. Instant replays and slow motion.
Slow motion in 6 frames per second.
Sandra Picorni says John's camel toe. Thank you, Miles.
Jojo the Chimp's out there. Hey.
Oh my God. Jojo the Chimp says you never wore pants on stage. What gives, John? Jojo the Chimp is the bane of our existence in Popcorn the band. He plays a heavy metal organ grinder, and he's the reason Popcorn the band broke up. So.
Oh Jesus!
Oh really? Oh no.
He's your Yoko.
Yeah, he is our Yoko, definitely.
Well, hell yeah, man. Glad to have you on here. Glad to fucking be a part of this. And fucking, you got any, you want to roll out some questions, Radford?
Sure. Really, like, how'd you really start getting into metal music and all of that kind of stuff? I know that you're the actor and stuff like that, but you have such a music knowledge and guitar collection. How'd you really get into that?
80s metal was really like what I grew up with. I mean, you know, I love a lot of types of music. I know everyone says, oh, I love everything but country, you know, but I really grew up like, you know, appreciating like the whole glam era, you know, that whole 80s period. I mean, obviously as a kid, you start somewhere, and, you know, that was probably Kiss, because it's like, you know, my friend, you know, brought me these albums. I was like, wow, who are these superhero looking guys? And, you know, as you can see, I'm a big comic book junkie.
Yeah,
so,
I saw
like,
that X-Men one. Woo!
Yeah, Days of Future Past, baby. X-Men 141. Yeah, but, you know, Kiss was kind of like a superhero band almost. You know, they had the cool makeup and the costumes, and the music was good. I liked early Kiss, you know, listening to, you know, God of Thunder and Rock and Roll All Night and Love Gun, and, you know, to this day I'm a huge Kiss fan, and I really love those guys. And you know, I guess that's where it starts, and then from there other bands come out, and, you know, you're hungry for it. You know, you want, you know, the new Bon Jovi comes out. You know, who are these guys? Motley Crue comes out. Who are these guys? And this is also an age where like MTV first started.
Yep.
You know, so the visual aspect of it is just as big as the music aspect of it. It's like, people say, well, what do you read? You read a lot. I read a lot of comic books and graphic novels because I like the story, but I also like that visual aspect that's, twofold into the medium. You have the visual and you have the story. It's the same thing growing up with music in my era. MTV's there showing, hey, Motley Crue, these badass guys with the makeup and the leather, and Judas Priest has the spikes and the gauntlets and all this stuff. So you're like, wow, what the hell is this? And I'm enjoying the music. So just on and on and on as, you voraciously like eat up all these new bands that are coming out through the 80s, like in a flood. I mean, think about like as the metal genre really came into its own in the 80s, just band after band, week after week, were coming out. It's like this week is Warrant, this week's Cinderella, this week's White Snake, White Lion. I mean, just name it, and every week there's a new band. Same. Now it's not even guys playing their instruments. Now it's just like everything's like a sample, and a lot of hip hop, and not that it's bad. It's just different. It's not my genre. Yeah.
There's not enough guitar and music anymore. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then as far as the guitar aspect of it, back in the day, in the late 80s, I started getting into the music so much, like I wanted to see if I could replicate it, because as a little kid, my parents bought me like a Sears acoustic vinyl string country guitar, and I hated it. I hated it. Because
hell yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like your parents start you off at, you got to learn an instrument. It's like, why? Why?
Or you're like, I want a guitar, and they're just like, okay.
No. I didn't even. I didn't even want a guitar. I didn't even want a guitar then. I just saw they bought me this, and it's like, everyone in school's picking an instrument. He's doing the tuba, he's doing the trumpet, he's doing the violin. You're gonna start on guitar. I'm like, but I don't like this thing. It did, it was like actions this high, country western, which I'm not into. It's this far from my body. It's not comfortable. And best of all, they took me on Saturday mornings to lessons. So I'm like, I want to watch Space Ghost and Dungeons and Dragons and Bugs Bunny. And, they're like, no, you got to learn guitar. And this guitar lesson teacher they took me to is like, okay, ready? Michael, row your boat ashore. Now G, hallelujah. No. Now C. Now, and I'm just sitting there. Michael Rowe, this sucks my dick. And just so that didn't last long. And then years later, a girlfriend asked me, hey, what do you want for your birthday? I have a lot of money. I want to get you something really big. And I didn't know what to say. And I was like really into metal. And I was like, maybe a guitar, like an electric guitar, because I like the noise it made. I want to see if I could learn little parts of songs. And at that point, it was like, oh my God, if I had gotten this as a little kid, I'd be all about it. I'd probably be a guitarist right now. Because I like the look of it, I like the sounds it makes, and I like the music that's represented by this type of guitar.
Just not an acoustic.
Yeah, so now I was into electric guitar, and I got a couple of them over a little bit of time just before grunge came out. Well, I mean, I was working as a kid. I lied about my age so I could what a Hollywood thing, right? I could be a busboy and then get a paper route and another paper route.
Do that though.
Yeah, right.
Hey, and do that now.
And do all sorts of stuff to raise money to buy comic books and then guitars, and I was really into it. And then grunge came out, and I stopped learning, and I didn't pick up the instrument again. Buck Rogers style, flash forward into the the 20th century. I didn't start learning again until like 2012. I didn't pick up a guitar again.
Grunge deteriorate grunge.
It was like a turd in my mouth.
Yes,
because
I know what you mean.
One minute I'm like, she's my cherry pie, and then all of a sudden it's like, where the lights are, there's a stage right. What?
Yeah.
What happened?
Hey,
oh no!
They unlearned it. They unlearned guitar just to, just to make it big. I guess. Like they stripped a lot of musicians down, and then a lot of musicians didn't even go any. I don't know, dude. It was such a weird ass time.
It was
sucked.
It was suddenly there was I went from a nipple in my mouth to a dick in my mouth. It was like what the fuck is that? You know, no, it was like you have to realize something about the 80s. The 80s was a time where the music was a party. And when I say a party, the music was like all about hey, let's stay up all night, let's cruise the boulevard, let's break the T-tops off of the Trans Am. Let's have chicks with their tits hanging out, partying, cranking loud White Snake, still the night, down the boulevard. Let's wake up with Pop Rocks on our face and Captain Crunch on our crotch. And who's this chick naked sleeping next to me? And who's their friend?
That's a party, man.
And you're waking up and wow, this rocks. There's a wine cooler bottle up my ass. How'd that get there? And all this stuff.
There's white substance everywhere.
What's this in my ear? Oh, it's a bra. This was a cool fucking time. And then grunge came along, and like your attitude was, let's be miserable. Yeah. My girlfriend's fat. She's really ugly and depressing me. It's raining in Seattle. My sweater's itchy. It's like they're wearing itchy, big, baggy sweaters, looking at their shoes. And I was just coming out of like a rock club wearing leather lace pants and a purple crushed velvet pirate shirt with hair out to here and a chick on this arm and a chick on this arm. And it's like, hey, let's get Taco Bell. It's 3 a.m. Fuck yeah. And now it's like, they're like just singing about how depressing it is in Seattle and how our chicks are ugly. And they even started like playing ugly guitars. It was like, we used to play guitars that looked like a candy bar shot out of CeCe DeVille's ass. It's pink, pink and neon, neon pink snakeskin with purple dildos on it. It was fucking incredible, killer, neon. Then the guitars they're playing are like these fucking broken down Mustangs with duct tape on them, and they're all gray. And I'm like, that's not fun or happy or bright or party. That's miserable. Yes. And all of a sudden, everyone's emo and everyone's in the corner, so depressed. Even Kurt Cobain shot himself. And he was like the leader of all them guys. So it's like the music was done for me. I put away my guitars in my closet. I didn't pull them out till 2012. Then I started picking up in 2012 and saying, oh my God, why did I ever stop learning this instrument? I really like it.
Yeah. Maybe because of that. Jesus loves me. that nailed it in, and you're just like, you know what? That I don't want to relearn something like that again.
Yeah, in the 80s, it's like you're fucking someone on the church altar, and suddenly now here's Jehovah's Witnesses handing you copies of the Watchtower and saying stop. Right. That's the difference between 80s glam metal and grunge.
I was gonna say what was it like? Alice in Chains that fucking like ended up like bridging that metal and grunge together, and that's like kind of ruined it for me.
It was like they kind of tricked us with Smells Like Teen Spirit, because that actually wasn't a bad song. It sounded like it was a metal song, but it was really had grunge elements, and you're like, you're like, yeah, this is kind of cool. And then,
Nirvana used to have like a second guitar player, and they actually were a little bit more on the metal side, like in 9, I'm guessing, or 90, whatever, before they got signed.
92 was like, never mind.
Yeah, so it was like 90, like probably early 90s. Like very 1990, and I remember hearing one song, and I was like, I never knew they had a second guitar player. I never knew that they had an album before that.
Yeah, he was even he was ashamed of it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, think about this. Even look at the fucking album covers. Okay, you had album covers of the 80s, and it was like your typical 80s album cover was like, some post-apocalyptic landscape, some chick with giant tits, lasers shooting out of her nipples, riding a wolf made of steel, raising a big fucking sword, and screaming, fuck me forever for metal. And then it was like, yeah, rock on, sister. Right? And then like all of a sudden Nevermind comes out, and it's like baby boy's penis.
Yeah. Drowning in a pool, chasing money.
Yes. It's a penis. It's a baby boy's penis. holy shit, what a fucking change, you know? And you had bands that like, you know, survived the entry of it. You had bands like, you know, you look at Pantera, and they started as a glam band. They made a switch over into that grunge era, but they were still cool because you had Dime, you know?
They saw like an opening that like, they saw like Metallica did the Black Album, and they saw this opening and then Thrash that was being like, that needs to be filled. So they switched on a dime, and because of Dime.
See what you did there.
And
there you go.
You know, when Pantera made that switch, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is fucking, you know, this shit. And I grew up on that shit. My dad introduced me all that. I grew up on the 80s stuff before the Pantera switch too. So the glam stuff as well.
I mean, you know, Sandra brings up a great point. I mean, look at examples of your average 80s cover. Iron Maiden with Eddie, and Megadeth with Vic Rattlehead, and Dio with the giant, you know, kind of Anubius hanging over Egypt, and you know, it was so great. And then you had like Pearl Jam, which is jizz, in a red blur of someone, you know, and it's like, what the fuck, you know, 10 and they're high five.
Speaking about jizz, load and reload.
Yeah, right. And they really were. Now, here's the thing. You mentioned Metallica's Black Album. Let me touch on that, because the fact is, Metallica's Black Album, I loved it. And I understand it was a little more commercial for them, but make no mistake, I always look for the opportunity to sell out. Did I mention, by the way, Bang energy drink? I look for opportunities to sell, because everyone wants to sell out. I don't care what your average rock star says. Oh, not me. I don't want to sell out. I don't want to be commercial to the man. Yes, you do, because the fact is, that's a paycheck, and that's like all. It's all worth it. Metallica's best move was that Black Album. And I love Enter Sandman. I thought it was a really good album. Different, obviously, than, you know, Master Puppets and Ride the Lightning and Kill 'Em All. And, you know, I get it. Yeah. But they were still good. Then later on, when they tried to be a grunge band, then it was like, come on, guys. There's a difference between selling out for the paycheck and not being what you are to appease a new audience that doesn't care about you while alienating your devoted fans. You know,
like,
you don't want to do that.
I'm that weird person because I'm the younger guy. I'm the youngest one here and stuff. So I grew up after all of this happened. I'm growing up in the late of the grunge and all into the 2000s and stuff. So I'm just like, I didn't really get to experience that until really like Metallica comes out with the Death Magnetic album. So that was like really my first introduction of just their new albums. I always listened to all their old stuff. My dad's a huge Metallica fan, so I always listened to all the old
badass.
Stuff. Yeah, so it's but then like just the first like new release was Death Magnetic, which to me it's not a bad album. It's just not many people talk about it.
It's not. Once you get past the Black Album, the stuff's not as good. There's good and bad, and make no mistake. I'm very split on Metallica because Rob and Kirk are so cool, and James and Lars can be such dicks at times. But overall, I like the music, you know. But like Black Album and before is really, really the great stuff, and after that, it's hit or miss, you know. And you were talking about like, you know, this is, you know, your dad loves early Metallica, and you grew up with later Metallica. My dad was not into my music. My mom enjoyed some of it. Like I played, you know, Steve Vai's Passion Warfare album, and she's like, I love that song with little Stevie Vai. It's so funny. And, you know, she had a crush on Sebastian Bach of Skid Row. She like, a magazine came for you in the mail today. Who's that pretty man? And I'm like, oh, that's Sebastian Bach. He's good looking. And I'm like,
my parents like grew me up with, like, my parents took me to Crew when I was 11. Not the farewell show. It was when they did Crew Fest, that last Crew Fest they did, and so that they took me to that when I was 11 years old, and then I could have gone and seen Metallica when I was like 6, and Korn and stuff. But then I've seen all of those bands now since I've gone. But yeah, my dad's more into like all of the early stuff and stuff like that, but my mom's into everything I listen now to, like all of those newer metal bands that are coming out right now.
Yeah.
My dad, you know, he hates my music. You know, my dad's. If you ask my dad, you know, what's your favorite band that John listens to? He's like, well, let's see, which is the one I always bring up? Oh yeah, shut that shit the fuck up. You know, that's the title of, I guess, his favorite band I play, because he's always requesting it. You know, I'm waiting for like. Yeah, you know, my dad's the guy that like throws a brick through the window so he could hear the music better clearly. I get, you know, but you know, what's really funny with my dad, I told this story on Johnny Beane Show recently. Dad, one day I put on Sabotage. It was like the Streets album or something, and I'm cranking it along, and you know, and whatever, and I'm really enjoying it. And you know, of course, my dad comes home, shut that shit off, and you know, all right. So I lower the stereo and I turn it down. I'm like, I don't even want to fight with him. And then like 10 minutes later, he starts cranking his stereo downstairs, and it's Christmas in Sarajevo by Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and I'm like,
you realize it's metal.
Dad, what are you playing? Nothing you would like. I'm like, Dad, is that by chance Trans-Siberian Orchestra? He's like, how did you know that? And I went down with some Sabotage albums. I'm like, you see that song you're playing? It's on this album too. It's on Sabotage album too. And you know, and it's like, it's the same guys. It's like, no, it's not. One's an orchestra. I'm like, it's the same guys. To this day, he doesn't get it. But you know, welcome.
So it was the West Coast.
My world.
It was a West Coast Trans-Siberian, Trans-Siberian, right? Because I think there's a West and an East Coast.
Trans-Siberian does two versions of them, because during the Christmas time, they want to get to all the main markets, so they do one on the East Coast areas and one on the West Coast areas. And you know, it's a great idea, because you really do want to. You know, obviously you're limited. Your band limited by a season. That's really know drawing your concerts. So it's a great idea, playing all these Christmas shows around with two split versions of your band.
Just like all the Santa Clauses are in the malls.
Yeah, Santa's Little Helper. Yeah. We're actually not the real Trans-Siberian. We're Trans-Siberian's Little Helper. You know.
What was there was a thrash guitar player that what was it, Exodus or Testament, I guess, left, and he was
Alex.
Skolnick?
Alex Skolnick. Okay. Yeah, he plays in one of the versions of Trans-Siberian. So does Chris Caffery. So does Jack Frost has been in one incarnation. I mean, you know, they Al Petrelli. They have a couple of different guys. You know, but it's
a great idea.
It's a brilliant idea, and you got to think about it. They've done dual concerts where one half of the show is Sabotage, and then some of the guys go to that side of the stage, and ladies and gentlemen, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and they're performing those songs. It's pretty brilliant.
All they need to do is one album with John Williams.
Ooh,
I know, right?
Cool.
Seriously.
Yeah, but that's that's basically where I am music wise. I mean, that's my favorite period.
Did you ever get into like 80s thrash or like 90s thrash or
thrash stuff was never, I don't want to say never my jam, because I do like some of it. The ones I liked in the 80s, Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer, Testament, a little later on, Suffocation. There's a couple of guys in there that like I would get into. What I'm not really into is the Cookie Monster vocals.
Oh,
it's like drop down to drop C and then chug 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 chug.
Actually, that sounds like Mike Patton and Mr. Bungle right now.
Yeah, and it's like me want some cookie. It just never caught on to me. I mean, again, there's different styles for everyone. I like more of a melodic blues based, my guitarists, my favorite guitarists are like, Mark Kendall and Tracy Guns and George Lynch and CeCe DeVille and Steve Vai and Eddie Van Halen, of course, Randy Rhoads, of course. Those are like my fave style of guys, and on. Warren DeMartini and, all those guys. I'm all about them. Jakey Lee, I could go on and on forever and ever and ever,
Heard. Same.
Yeah. But it's all a matter of taste. There's no wrong answer.
Oh, yeah. Right, yeah, no. I'm definitely a fan of those Cookie Monsters.
Yeah, Kerry King is awesome. I mean,
Yeah, I listen to a lot of I guess Cookie Monster stuff, but I always like what I did when I started learning reading books and stuff on guitar. I'd always want to go to my favorite bands, see who their favorite band was, see who their favorite band was, see who their favorite band was. Yeah, sure. And then I ended up tracing back so far back that I found out that Ragtime came from Ragtime. Ragtime basically came from a rich guy that went to he went overseas and heard tribal drum music and adapted to piano when he came back overseas, and that's how Ragtime was born. Cool. And I was like, geez, I think I was a little too far back, but I got it.
A lot of guys, I mean, you could trace a lot of 80s metal back down to blues based, and you think, okay, blues, you have guys like B.B. King and stuff, but I'm sure someone like, Mark Kendall of Great White wasn't influenced per se by B.B. King, maybe, somewhere in between, like Joe Perry, Ace Frehley, guys like that,
Plus there's a lot of artists that have just gotten lost in time. Probably you wouldn't like a lot of artists that never really got signed, just got an album out or two, and they probably got influence off of those people too that we really never hear from anymore. As all.
I mean, think about it. I dare say everyone in the 80s took something from Eddie Van Halen.
Of course.
Everyone, you wouldn't have a super strat guitar. You wouldn't be tapping. You wouldn't be. I mean, Eddie was like the guy for that stuff.
Dimebag, man, totally.
Yeah, I mean, Dime and Randy, everybody. and but really, really, you started. And I always say this, Jimi Hendrix kind of set the table, for dinner and made the appetizers and put the groceries out there on the stove, and then Eddie Van Halen came and cooked the main course and just evolved it into
with all into that my guitar playing. That's always my dad's he was always like, so you gonna play some Eddie Van Halen stuff? Yeah, you gonna play stuff like that? And then if I show him stuff my friends we have a video we did of a ping track, and my friend does a solo and he's tapping and doing all the stuff. Oh, that stuff Eddie would do.
Yeah, I mean everything. And again, obviously you have to, tip your hat to guys like, Ace Frehley, who was not Eddie influenced, and Black Sabbath, obviously, and that kind of, right in there 70s stuff. Because that really is the beginning of metal. I mean, Black Sabbath is the beginning of metal in my eyes.
Crimson. Was it Crimson? What is it? Red Crimson? No, some bullshit.
Crimson Glory, Crimson. Crimson Tide.
I know what he's talking about.
I know that
King Crimson.
King Crimson. There you go. Before Sabbath, and that album pretty much I would say was just a few years before Sabbath, but it kind of opened my eyes to where things were going when I listened back to it. And then I listened to the Black Sabbath album. I'm just Jesus Christ! It's just all it was just pentatonics, and it would distorted and a little slow.
Well, you got to look. I mean, Miss Jackie brings up Eric Clapton. There's another early influence to a lot of people. Not so much the style of music, but the playing.
Yes.
And again, obviously, you got to respect everything. Early on, you have early Scorpions, early Priest, early all the European metal that basically was the the British invasion of metal. In the late 70s and right around there.
Where distortion came from.
Yeah, I mean that, you listen to like, early Judas Priest and you're like, oh wow, where's this guy coming from? Britain. He's coming from Britain. It's like
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Really early Judas Priest.
I mean, let's put it this way. In a nutshell, the 70s started it, the 80s were incredible, and then the 90s, like right at 92 is when it just took a fucking stock market crash up my ass, It's sad because you have a band like Winger. You have a band like Winger, who I'm a very big fan of Red Beach. I love Red Beach. Winger made their third and arguably what could be called their best album. Just as it was about to release, you had a triple dose of here's Nirvana shoving you off the air, here's James Hetfield throwing darts at Kip Winger's photos, and here's Beavis and Butthead, with fucking Stewart the fat kid coming in. Hey guys, I got a Winger shirt, and they're like, you suck. It's like,
right.
All at once, and all of a sudden it's like, well, time to pawn the instruments. We're broke, guys. We're done.
Yep. We're leaving.
Now, were you ever a fan of like Zappa?
Yes and no. Like my buddy who introduced me to Sabbath and Ozzy, he would play like Joe's Garage and stuff, which I thought was neat. I thought it was neat. I thought it was interesting and creative, but it was never something I would like put in my cassette player and cruise my IROC down the boulevard looking for girls. It's like, it was just, it was interesting, it was cool. And Steve Vai was like kind of that interesting sound in the background of stuff. And I was like, that's kind of neat. But it never was like something like Ozzy I would do. I'd be playing, over the mountain, driving along, but I would never put on We Can Jam in Joe's Garage. It was just one of those, hey, let's lay back, hang out at your house and chill.
Yeah, it's kind of like goofy. Yeah. It's that thing you put in the background of your house and you're just chilling. Yeah,
it's more fun than rocking. I don't party, but like all my friends are getting stoned to listening to Zappa, and I was like, yeah, this is cool, this is fun, this is hangout music, but it's not like when I put in Blizzard of Oz and Crazy Train, pumping me to go 30 miles over the speed limit in my car.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But officer, it's Randy. I mean, well, just this once, son.
Right. It doesn't work. It doesn't work with Zappa. But officer, it's Zappa.
Yeah. Let me see your registration, son. Let me see your registration, Mr.
You're coming with me.
Yeah, it's kind of cool hangout music, but I never like went out and wanted to hear like Santa Percorni brings up Muffin Man. Yeah, fun song, chill song, background of my house song, but not something I'm gonna be like, oh man, you got to hear fucking Tesla's Modern Day Cowboy. My head's gonna explode.
It's not. It's like when you hear Dr. Demento, you don't blast that shit. You just kind of like, oh yeah,
right. I love the Fish Head song, but I'm not
me too.
Be like driving down the street in my vet and be like, fish heads, rolling, but where fish heads, you're just not going to be doing it.
Or
I guess me and my town are a little bit different. So that's definitely what we do.
I'll put on some goofy ass music and just be there. I'll put on some wrestling music, Triple H. That's my thing.
Yeah, no, I wanted to enjoy. The 80s. It's like I was switching between various fast cars, and okay, so this one has what type of sound? Blaupunkt sound system. Great. Well, how many speakers? 8 speakers. Great. I was like, what can I blast through here? Autograph, turn up the radio. You betcha. It's like.
And then in the 80s, like every musician got in a car accident. So it's like, hey, this is the same model that what's his name died in.
Yeah, it's like Ace Frehley crashed his DeLorean, and Vince Neil crashed his Ferrari 308. And, it's Lynch had Panteras, and
yeah, Pantera, the Pantera,
Dietz Massa Panteras. I love those things.
Oh man, yeah, same. They're cool cars. They're really cool.
Yeah, 351 Ford Cleveland engine. What's wrong with that?
Balls to the wall. That's nothing.
No, I mean that's what you would do. That's what you would do. You would have a suitcase of fucking metal cassettes, and you hand it to the girl that you're with, and pick one, and Bon Jovi. It's like shot through the hunt, and it's like, all right, here we go.
All right,
kids will never understand anymore.
Let's cruise Long Island, which is where I grew up, Yeah, now it's just like you just see glass rattling, boom, 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 boom.
Or you hear like the plastic rattling off the speaker now, and they're driving down.
Yeah, I know, right?
So bad.
Yeah, it's just all bass, kicker box, and like, you know, some rap lyrics over some sample of a part of a song that they never did. So it's like, all right. You know,
you got another banger question?
Well, I was going to ask him, like, not that he has like guitars to show us, but what are some of like the guitar collection that you have? I know that you got some awesome guitars.
I brought up on, again, you know, Talking Guitars and 80s Metal Live, the Tuesday night show I do on YouTube. I brought recently, I revealed that I own George Lynch's mom guitar, the original, one of literally the most recognizable 80s celebrity guitars ever. You know, I mean, it's the Skull and Bones that everyone, you know, sees him play. And, you know, here's a photo of it. It's not with me right now, but oh shit. Let's break out one of my reference material magazines.
Oh, sexy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone knows this guitar, though. I mean, you know, this guy right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Skull
I remember watching
everyone knows that guitar. Yeah. I mean, you know, people were like, you know, holy shit, you have that? It's like, yeah, I have a lot of them. I have hundreds of guitars. For me, that's nostalgia. Because I went to so many shows and concerts and events and clubs and, you know, metal clubs and all sorts of shit. Again, growing up in New York, a lot of people don't realize, even though the music really was, you know, the style of the Sunset
from New York,
Strip.
I couldn't tell, man.
Yeah, I know, right? No accent here, right? You know,
accent.
It's like Brooklyn's coming out of my mouth. and I came in half of Brooklyn's mouth.
Oh God!
But no, it's like you know, even though the Sunset Strip was like the big launch pad of all that glam style music, in New York we had our own bands and our own scene too. I mean, sure, the LA guys came out for shows, but we also had, you know, Twisted Sister, Danger, Bon Jovi, Skid Row, even though Sebastian's Canadian, you know, the band's from Jersey. Yeah. I mean, all those guys were, you know, New York guys or tri-state area guys. Janice Lala from New York too. Hey, Janice. And Joe Herbie's from Long Island, like me.
Didn't pop up. Stuff yet.
Yeah, I mean, but there were tons of metal clubs that you would go out like every night, and you know, this place here, you go on, you know, you go on Deer Park Avenue on Tuesday, you go to Levittown on Friday, you go to Jones Beach over the summer.
Was that y'all strip?
Huh?
Was that y'all strip?
There wasn't like a single strip scene like there was in LA. You know, LA, okay, Sunset Strip. You have the Rainbow next to the Roxy, next to, you know, the Whiskey a Go-Go. You know, they're all in one line. Long Island, you had a big club in Levittown, and then one out in the Hamptons, and then you had, you know, a couple in New York, and the Limelight, New York, and, you know, and then in Brooklyn, you know, L'Amour's in Brooklyn, and, you know, they're all over. They were kind of spread all over. Yeah. But it's okay. Every night you had something to do and somewhere to go, some band to see.
Yeah, it's the same way in San Francisco. Yeah, it's the same exact way.
Yeah. Frisco's exactly the same way. It's not LA, but you have your own scene, and guys are coming up there. They're, you know, the touring all around.
We're going over from Oakland to the top of the bay, going into Chinatown, going into the Mission, going all over.
Exactly.
Like
and, you know, this place is, and this place is to cruise. Deer Park Avenue was the big, you know, the big Babylon Speedway that, you know, people sung about in New York.
Don't worry,
so you had all your, you know, there and a couple of other roads in Long Island. You know, all the cool looking cars would cruise down, T-tops off, windows down, music cranking, and
titties out.
Tits out everywhere, and you know, get together in parking lots, and, you know, everyone would smoke up or drink or whatever. You know, hopefully not driving and drinking, but, you know, and I never drink or party, but I'm very into flirting, and, you know, I was into the music and the cars, and, you know, clearly I'm a little outgoing, so I made friends real easy in those scenes. And it's like, it was cool because you could just pull up and people were like, who's this? It's like, hey, rock on. I'm John. What are you guys listening to? Oh, we're listening to Def Leppard. They got, you know, the new, fucking A, let's talk. And who's your friend? You know, it's like,
who's your friend? And what's her friend? And who's that friend?
Yeah, exactly. We were all friends, and, you know,
let's all get together.
Yeah, it just a great wild time where everyone's like, you know,
before the internet.
You know, no, I mean, everyone's in leopard this and leather this and velvet this and silk this and, you know, bandanas and shredded, you know, shredded jeans, and it's just a cool scene.
Tape trading.
See, I wanted to live in
God,
that scene, but then you also hear about all the horror stories that come along with it too.
Well, the thing you got to realize, I mean, there was a lot of drugs, obviously, and it's free. I mean, when you're friends with bands and hanging out, and again, I was at the time like getting into stand-up comedy at the time, things get offered to you for free. It's like, hey, guys, you want some blow? Yeah, I didn't. But all my friends did. Me not drinking, I'm a great designated driver. So, I'd go to these parties and have 7 or 8 friends piled into a Trans Am. All right, I'll drop you off first and you off first. And you all hold on to because you're really cute. You
coming with me.
Yeah, no, that was really like it. One of the things you're doing is you're seeing who you're flirting with so you can cruise the rest of the night with that chick,
Yeah.
Right.
Harvey with the drugs are bad.
Okay. So it was kind of
heavy
funny.
metal music.
We were on Gargett's stream last night, and Terry actually, and
Terry
he realized, he realized that Gargett sounds like Otto from The Simpsons.
Oh yeah, fuck, dude.
Now I drive the bus.
So I all night I just kept saying, "Yeah, no guac in mine," or "Your mom's hot."
All right, let's ask it. So, AJ, do you have any questions on your side?
Oh no. I was gonna say, I got one. I was gonna tell you a story real quick on see, back in the 80s, I guess it was very I guess purple was the only color that a certain artist known with purple would order all the time. And my friend, his mom, she was living in California at the time. She gets a bass and she wants it in purple. So they had to special make it in Japan, and she orders it and they bring it back and she doesn't have to pay a dime because on the label it says for Prince. Oh my God. So she got basically a free guitar because in the 80s, because nobody else would order that bass unless it was Prince.
They assumed that it was
yes.
That's very funny.
And I was like, she still has this bass to this day. She's brought it over once, and it's lovely. It's very lovely.
That's funny.
But I didn't know that was, it was so easy. But that's what I'm saying. Before the internet, it was so easy to get stuff mixed up, and it was no information around. You just assume stuff.
I mean, my favorite color out of the gate was neon pink and neon green. Mm-hmm. But I love purple too. I mean, like I said, I like bright, flashy, loud, here I am color stuff.
Behind you, right there behind you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pink and black checkerboard, BC Rich Gunslinger. But it's my first electric guitar, I didn't know a lot about it. So, I called up a buddy of mine who was in a band that were touring with Cheap Trick. His band was called Motor Mouse. And I said, hey, can you help me, pick out a guitar, because I don't know anything about him. And he's like, okay. So he brings me to his house, which has a home studio. And he's like, well, try this on for size. And he puts this heavy, heavy guitar on me. And he's like, what do you think of that? I'm like, wow, it's really heavy. It's kind of awkward. I don't think I like it. He's like, man, that's a 59 Les Paul. That's like a king of guitars. All right, we're going downhill from here. So I was like, all right. And again, I didn't know at the time. I probably should have hey, you want to sell that? Like a king of guitars.
Yeah.
Right, we're going downhill from here. Yeah, that's what he said. We're going downhill from here. He's like, all right, if you don't like this, then you're gonna like a Strat. We'll try a Strat on for you. So he takes me to a guitar store on Long Island. We walk in. The first thing that catches my eye is a BC Rich Gunslinger in gray snakeskin. I'm like, wow, look at this. And he slaps my hand. He's like, put that shit down. That's garbage. And I'm just like, and little did he know, little did any of us know, years later, that would be my favorite guitar. Would be BC Rich Gunslingers. I have over 70 of them. So
Jesus Christ.
Go figure. But my point is, so he takes me over. He takes me to Fender Stratocasters, and he's got this plain wood one, and he's like, try this on. I was like, I don't like it. It's got no color. And he's like, well, just try the feel of it. And I was like, all right. I mean, the body's comfortable. He's like, all right, we're going to look for something like this for you. So we finally settled on a cream colored white Stratocaster. And it was like, it felt cool. It had a whammy bar, which I wanted. It had a Kaler whammy on it. And I took it home and I was like, I like the sounds it makes, but it's so bland. It's so bland, you know? And then I went like a month later to get a second guitar, and I walk in a different store with a girlfriend, and I'm like looking on the wall, and my eye gets caught. They're just hanging it up, a black Kramer Beretta with hologram tape stripes on it, kind of like, you know, Van Halen stripes, but like made of hologram tape, like Hollow Flash. And this is when Hollow Flash first came out. So it was like, black with holograms? Fuck yeah, that's the one. You know, so I pulled that, bought that guitar. Then a few months later, I got an Ibanez Gem 777, the neon green with the pink pickups. Now I was there. Now I was like, okay, I realized I love bright, colorful, loud, flashy super strats. That's my jam. Got it.
There you go.
You know?
There you go.
I would do the same thing, man. Like if I can, I'd pick out everything that's gonna flash out everything. But I'm so frugal. I'm just like,
well, this wasn't my money, so it was even better. This girl managed a chain of pizza parlors. I mean, she was like one of the really just like, you know, she's like, I want to get you something expensive for your birthday. So I picked out my first guitar. And then from there, you know, I'm working all this money to pay comic books. And she's like, well, you know, it's Christmas. What do you want for Christmas? You know, I have a lot of money. Let me buy you another guitar. I'm like, okay. Okay.
Why not? I ain't gonna stop you.
That's that magic you give in that bed, man. That's that.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a girl that treats me great. I really am.
Man.
It's like,
I mean, I would be good,
too, I'm like
man.
Loyal forever.
It's not.
No, it's not even just the money. It's just literally like when a girl likes you that much that all she wants to do is make you happy. You don't leave that girl. You're smart. You be smart. You stay with that girl. Any girl that's like, you know, all I want to do is, you know, feed you, blow you, buy you cool stuff. You're like, I like that.
Check.
I like that. Yeah, you're checking all the boxes. I come with an owner's manual. I'm very, very easy to please. It's like girls are like, I wonder, you know, what do guys want? I can't figure out guys. I'm like, treat you really well and be adorable and affectionate, and I'm all about it. I love smart girls. I love girls who love to laugh. If you have those things in there, I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, look, there's Sandra. Sandra bought Ricky her other half a Dime Dean guitar.
Well, I mean, X has bought me guitar before, but I mean, stuff happened.
But that's how I got my first 3 guitars. Was, you know.
There you go.
Yeah. And again, the thing about celebrity guitars that I have a lot of, it's nostalgia for me. If I saw, for instance, you know, I went to a Danger show. I'm very big on Danger. I really liked their first album. I thought they were cool as a band. I went to see them at a club, and after the show ended, I walked up to the side of the stage, and there was Andy Timmons, guitar tech, just wiping down one of his Kramer Hollow Flash Berettas. Yeah. And I was like so mesmerized by that guitar. I was like studying it. And I was like, oh my God, that thing's beautiful. He's like, yeah, Andy has some cool guitars, huh? And I was like, little did I know one day I'd buy that guitar from Andy.
Oh, wow.
The nostalgia from it. You know, it's like, you know, back in the day, there was a club called Spit Rocks on Long Island, Rock Club. And Steve Vai performed a live charity event there. And he was giving away his favorite touring guitar from the David Lee Roth Skyscraper tour. And I remember walking in, and there it was hanging, this neon yellow with, you know, pink pickups and a floral headstock neck, just beat to shit. And it was like, you know, it's signed on the back. This was my favorite guitar on the Skyscraper tour. Steve Vai, play it loud for a good cause, blah, blah, blah. And they were selling raffle tickets to it. And I bought a bunch, and I tried to win it, and I didn't. But I was so bummed because it was so mesmerizing to me. Like, wow, what a cool guitar that is, you know. And I was really into Steve's music. So I found out the name of the winner. at the end of the show, and I kept in touch with him over the years. And years later, he calls me up. He's like, "I crashed my car, man. I need some money fast." I'm like, "Here's your, bing bing
guitar."
Yeah, so I bought that guitar. It's that type of nostalgia that drives me to collect, guitars like that.
It's that type of nostalgia that drives you to make him crash his car.
I was playing out spike strips on his block every day. Thinking, I know where this guy lives. I know where he lives. I'm gonna get a hold of this,
You're like, one of these days I'm gonna get this guy.
Sugar in the gas tank, cut the brake line, whatever I gotta do. I need that guitar, man.
Banana in the fucking.
I was gonna ask, like, how do you find these people that have these guitars or acquire them from the celebrities?
A lot of them are the celebrities. I've gotten a lot of. I'm friends with a lot of guys. I mean, because once you're in the entertainment business, even though I'm on the acting side, I'm friends with probably more guys on the music side, because that's just I do a weekly show on metal and on even though it's a comedy and whatever. The base of it is a lot of guitar heads. So. Yeah, I know a lot of these rock stars personally. It's like, I'd call up and say, "Hey, do you want to get rid of this? Do you want to get rid of this?" And and sometimes there were things that were sold during the 90s that I just kind of tracked down, and other times it's just something that pops up on eBay or at an auction or something like that. And not all of them are celebrity. I mean, I just buy what I like. If I like to play. San Dimas Charvels, I just find ones that are cool and I like the look of and stuff like that. But it's like, a lot of them happen to be celebrity guitars sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my influence.
Just happens. Yeah.
That's what kind of leads me to my next question. Perfect segue. You've been in all these soirees, I guess you would say. With a lot of you rubbed elbows with a lot of people. Was there anybody in particular? And it doesn't have to be probably not going to be an actor. I would say a musician that you were just like maybe a little too shy to go talk to.
No, I'm the furthest thing from shy in the world.
I thought so.
But understand something. When you say soirees, like I don't get invited to the Oscars. I mean, it's like. I've been on some cool TV shows and shit, but like I'm not a big actor. I'm a minor, like Kathy Griffin says, a D-list actor, where like I don't get invited to stuff. Sure, I go to like parties at Comic-Con. I'll go to like the Entertainment Weekly party because I have that much credibility. But like I don't get invited to like the Oscars or the Emmys, or then no one wants me there. I know, because I literally I walk on the times I've walked on red carpets. Yeah, I've walked on with my signature pink scarf or my pink beanies or pink sneakers or something like that. But like I'm not a go in a tuxedo, go to the Oscars guy. I'm not in that aspect.
I wouldn't. Yeah,
I've worked with a lot of those people. I mean, for 6 years, I was a featured extra on SNL, and every week I'd meet a musical artist and a big time actor that I'd be in some skit with. And again, a lot of them, sometimes they're just like, "Hey, don't talk to Mr. De Niro," and other times they're like, just do your job. And that's all I would do. But like, I met Robert De Niro on SNL. We had a joke between us. That was it. I've worked with, I've worked with so many A-listers, even though I was just like an extra on a film or had one line or had, some other small part, it's like,
you seize a moment.
I mean, I'm everyone's like not a celebrity to me. They're just another person. If I go to someone's house and Meryl Streep is there, I walk up to her and say, "Hey, we were in Prairie Home Companion together. Remember you, me and Lily Tomlin were sitting together at the craft service." Oh yeah. That's like my thing. I'm not. See you later. I'm not shy about talking to anybody, because to me, I'm in the same business and often on the same gigs as most of these people are, So it's like, I mean, I've talked to and or worked with a who's who of the most famous A-listers, whatever. That doesn't mean I'm on them, but I'm certainly working with them. And they're peers. You may have 3 Emmys and I have 2 lines in one episode, but we're still on Will and Grace. We're still doing the same show. I was on Lost for 1 season, and even though people are like, oh my God, I hope one day I'll meet, the character that plays Jack. It's like, I got to beat him up on the show. I'm carrying Matthew Fox through the jungle. I'm sharing a beer with him on set. Literally, he's like, you want to pool this beer? I'm thirsty. I'm like, yeah, okay. Sip, 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 sip. That's just who you're working with. They're just people like you and I. And, I understand that you have Oscars, I don't, but we're working on the same gig together. We're still peers. And someday maybe I'll have an Oscar too. Probably not. The closest I'll get to is Oscar the Grouch. But, I'm not at all shy at all to approach anybody about anything. I'm the farthest thing from shy. I'm very, very, very out.
I could tell that automatically. Like, I didn't expect you.
I just like making friends. That's all. Yeah. I like laughing with people. Yeah.
When we met you at NAMM, it was amazing. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, we just sat down. You guys and I, we just sat down eating, Italian food at Mars.
You didn't even know us, really. You didn't even know
you were new friends.
Yeah.
Look, it's there was speaking of the movie Prairie Home Companion, I was a featured extra in a scene on that, and I was doing some stand-in work, so they put me on screen for a scene as a thank you kind of thing, and basically during downtime, I'm sitting there playing chess with Woody Harrelson. And, here's, one of the greater actors of our time that people are like, oh my God, should I approach Mr. Harrison about his food? And, he's just like, you want to play another round of chess? I'm like, yeah. And, because, we're all.
And you just shoot the shit.
Yeah, we're all just peers. Yeah. We're all just working. We're in the same business.
It was like did you ever get like a workshop going? Like everybody was just like, like, look at this guy, look at what he does, look how he like.
What do I do? I go on a set, I do my job. If I'm an extra, I'm an extra. If I'm, if I'm a primary, I'm a principal. All I know is I want, you want to be nice to whoever's on set. If you're the big actor on set, like Hollywood Treasure, for that show for Sci-Fi for 3 seasons, I'm the principal. I'm the one of the lead actors on that series.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I'm not going to talk to the extras like, I've done the same thing. Or the crew. You're nice to the crew because, the next time you're on a set, that guy may be your producer and you may be the gopher. Just everyone's on a set. They're all equal. They're all.
You never know.
That's how it should be. At least that's how I treat people.
Yeah. Speaking about Hollywood Treasures, I that was something I used to watch too. And I know you have still a lot of stuff from props and everything. Did you ever get anything off of that show as well?
Off which show?
Hollywood Treasures. Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of stuff from a set. Like I love taking things off a set with permission, if I can. Like there was a movie I was hired to do in Australia, a comedy in Australia called Enter the Hamster. And, I know that sounds like a porn. My mom's like, oh no, what did you do? It's an anal film with gerbils.
It just goes in the ass.
Did you take the hamster home? No, but like I alive? but like I was one of the leads in this Australian, B-movie comedy. They paid me a great amount of money, and they sent me and a friend as an assistant to Australia for a month and a half. And that was a great paying gig. And one of the things I did was my costume of my character, I really wanted it, but they rented it. So I had to go to the rental company who did not sell things and basically overpay for this costume because, I didn't want to let on to them, but they're like, why do you want to buy this so bad? And I was like, it fits me so well and I look so good in it. Well, it's not for sale. And it's like, well, how much would it take to be for sale? It's like, give me £1,000. It's like, but I like to get things from the set when possible, for like, Veep. I still have my congressional my congressman pin that they give you.
A great show, man.
I got that.
Show.
Lost, I have so many props from Lost because that's like a big feather in my cap. So like I have my Others costume. I have the big wooden ankh that my buddy was carrying next to me. I have my prosthetic ponytail I wore on the show. I have little darts that were gun fired into my body. I have those darts and a bunch of other stuff from Lost. I have tons of stuff from Lost.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And sometimes if it's not attached to me directly, I'll sell stuff to Lost fans. I sell props to Lost fans all the time. But like I try to get something off of sets. Hollywood Treasure, there was nothing really to take off of the set per se. I mean, I have clothing I wore on the episode. But
I know that a lot of stuff was like for charities and stuff like that. I was just wondering if anything like slipped through that it was like, maybe this little sliver of like a dollar bill from like, from like, I don't know, Con Air is good or something.
Nah, I mean, stuff like that. Like we did a lot of charity work. I still do a lot of charity work. I'm a breast cancer advocate. I've done work for Parkinson's, for the homeless, animal charities I love. I did a reading recently for they let you pick a charity, so I picked animal charities and Black Lives Matter, and it was like 5 of us actors that we could pick 10 charities. So I was like, okay, so this woman picked breast cancer, so I'm like, all right, that's covered. And then someone else picked something else that I was big on for Parkinson's. I'm like, that's covered. And this person picked the Leukemia Society, so that's covered. So I'm like, all right, breast cancer. All right, so let me pick an animal charity. And what's left? Black Lives Matter. All right, let's give some money to them too. So we picked 10 charities. So I still love to do charity work,
That's awesome.
But no, we didn't steal from charities.
Yeah, no stupid here. But anything sliver like went down,
No, Hollywood Treasure. It's like I have some of my wardrobe, but that's it.
Okay.
Sandra's in the chat saying, "Were you an extra on TWD?"
The Walking Dead.
Not technically, no. I know the people at Walking Dead. What we did do, there was an episode of Hollywood Treasure where we visited the set of Hollywood Treasure in Atlanta, of Walking Dead in Atlanta, and they had the dead horse, that Rick's horse that he got ripped off of, and the zombies started ripping apart and eating his horse.
Okay, yeah.
So on Hollywood Treasure. Just on a whim, I decided to suddenly start eating the guts of the horse too. So they started the cameras rolling. I just dove into the horse and chewing his intestines like a zombie, and so that was my closest thing, was on the set of Walking Dead and playing with the props and stuff. But I was never in a Walking Dead episode. No.
Oh, that's awesome though.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's awesome. I gotta ask, how's it being like a voice actor and stuff like that, doing animation stuff?
I love voiceover work. I do a lot of cartoon voices on Talking Guitars and 80s Metal Live.
Yeah.
And that's fun. But when I did a but I first did some radio commercials in New York. I did a lemur for the Bronx Zoo. It was I'm a ringtail lemur for the Bronx Zoo. It was like that kind of voice. And I did a commercial for them. Then I did, I'm your garbage disposal. Boy, do I love when you throw out a fork. So I started with commercials like that in the New York area. And then a friend of mine at Marvel wanted me to audition for Marvel Super Squad. So I got the part of Flatman, who's a superhero, West Coast Avenger, and Zax, who's an electrical villain. So I played them. And then this is funny. They were doing a remake of Thundercats, and I was one of the finalists to play Snarf. And I beat out all these guys for the role. I beat out let's see, I beat out Mark Hamill, which was there was 4 of us it came down to. It was myself, Mark Hamill, what's his name that plays SpongeBob SquarePants?
I can't
I'm talking.
Yeah.
And one of the Simpsons guys, I think. And it got down to it, and then I finally like beat everybody, and they're like, "Yeah, you're going to be Snarf," and I'm like, "Hey, Snarf, oh God, yeah, and I was like so happy, and then the project got shut down. They totally canceled it. So they wound. I think they wound up doing like or proposing for a movie, and I wasn't in the running for that at all. But like, if that Tom Kenny, thank you, Ben Tom. Yeah, I was like beating the who's who of voiceover gods. I couldn't believe I got that far. And then when they said, "Yeah, we're going to use you as Snarf," I was so excited. And then, like I said, now it's going to be a movie of some sort. I'm not at all involved, unfortunately. But that always happens in Hollywood. Projects get canceled and get revamped and whatever, recast.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. But no, I love voiceover. I want to do more of it because you just show up in like sweats and you just go in there, throw on the headphones, and there you are on the mic. It's like, okay, take 2, try this line, take 2, try it this way.
It's almost being more like a recording studio more.
It's exactly the same.
It is.
It is. I mean, understand you're in a booth. Your mic is there. There's your lines. There's a director and a producer and maybe some other guys, and they're hitting okay, John, read the part where the lizard calls Green Goblin to hit the Spider-Man. Okay, and now you're the Green Goblin, and go. Spider-Man, Spider-Man. It's like, and then, cut, okay, pick up where it says, I mean, it's just like recording a song. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. So our friend Bodark is our friend that me and AJ are working on the song for this graphic comic that he's doing, and it's Star Wars lore, and he's asking advice for someone that wants to get into voiceover work because he's having people come in and do voiceover work, stuff like that on his stuff.
What I recommend is you contact me on Facebook because I want in.
Yes.
I love working, man. You don't hit on me for advice. Hit on me for a role. Say, hey, Mankuta, come in and read this part for me. Seriously, as far as advice, it's such a weird business because to get an agent, usually, it's such a runaround. I don't have an agent. I've always done word of mouth, nepotism, friendship.
Awesome.
People just literally, I keep an ear to the ground of other industry friends and say, hey, I'm working on this. Oh, can you let me know when you're casting so I could try out for something, and it's a lot of friendship and stuff, nepotism and just to get in the door to read and audition for a role. But if you have an agent, they'll send you to gigs. But to get an agent, a lot of times they'll want you to have a gig and then say, well, you need representation. It's like, but I have the gig already. Yeah, but you can't do it without representation. But your job is to get me the gig, to get me the audition. That's your job. Well,
you just cut out the middleman.
Yeah, they literally want you to have the gig ready so they could jump in and take their piece. And I'm on the other end saying, I'll get the role. I'll put on a good audition, but you got to get me into that audition room. And a lot of times they don't want you unless, because there's a million of me as an actor, as a voice actor. There's a million of me in Hollywood. I feel stupid when someone around town says, hey, what do you do? What do you do for work? It's like, I'm an actor, because everyone's an actor. That waitress is an actor. The guy mopping here is an actor. And it's true. I mean, because this isn't a business unless you're really, really, really like a heavy working Tom Cruise kind of guy that you're making a living off of. This is one of those things that you do and you supplement with a day job till your next gig gets in. And then maybe that gig will last for a year and you quit your day job. Then that gig ends and you get another day job until the next gig or a gig may last a weekend or, things like that. So, my best advice to you is don't be in this business. It's a terrible business. No, just basically make a lot of friends in the industry that are in, for instance, animation or commercial, casting directors. And I don't mean use people or whatever. Go on Facebook and make friends with them. Be someone that is in that circle and get in there. Now, if you can get a rep, I recommend you get someone on the lower end of the spectrum at a good agency, because the big guys at the big agencies, they don't want to talk to you. They want to talk to their main client. You know, it's like this one was an agent for, you know, Sean Connery, and now he's dead. So now they're going to move on to, Tom Cruise. And then he's also got Brad Pitt. They're not looking to get you your little voiceover audition. You want someone in the bottom end of the agency that's new and hungry. They're going to work for you, and they're going to get you those auditions. Those are the type of guys that you want, that you know, you can bring up their prestige in their job by you being good at auditions. And make no mistake, when I get auditions, a lot of time, I have a good percentage. A lot of time I'll get a role I apply for. It's just a matter of getting the auditions. And a lot of times I don't know about an audition unless someone tells me about it, invites me to it, puts me in contact with someone or whatever, or gives me that shot. So I've been very lucky to get good work in just, you know, my life. So, you know, but that's another thing. Just, you know, network. That's the best way. You know, and when you're doing a project, think of your friends first. Give them a shot. Always give them a shot. Bring your friends up. Give them a chance, because you know what? It's the same people when you're climbing the ladder and they're saying, "Hey, can you carry me along a little bit?" You never know, because they may climb the ladder faster in another way, and you'll be asking, "Hey, can I get a hand up here?" And you know, you want to bring your friends. You always want to try to do what you can. You know. I brought people onto projects when I had that power. Yeah.
There's a lot of people like that here and where I'm at too. But they've made it in the band thing, and they try to bring me up, and then then they kind of just like try to see if you can float. And if you can float, you float. But if not, you sink back down. They'll try again.
Look, a buddy of mine. I won't mention names. A buddy of mine recently is a guitarist. He's an incredibly good guitarist, and he's seeing Don Dokken struggling, and says, "Hey, you know, I know you know Lynch. Do you know Dokken?" And I didn't. But you know, he's like, if you have any chance, because it looks like he's going through guitarists a bit. If you think you could get me a shot to talk to him, so I tried. I tried really hard, and you know, there's still that Lynch Dokken bad blood, so I wasn't able to help him, but I tried because I really want to help your friends as much as possible. And let me, you know, Miles is or Mice Bodark is bringing up, he's saying, you know, holy shit, John wants in on a Star Wars fan made project. And because I do work, I'll take the shittiest role in the shittiest project. Not saying your project shit, but understand, I like to get on the ground floor of stuff as labors of love. There are times I've done work for little to sometimes even no pay just because I like the project. And there are times I've done, you know, things like Lost, where it's like it's a year commitment. I have to live in Hawaii. I have to sign, you know, orders of secrecy, and I can't, you know, talk about my work and whatever. And they're paying me a lot of money. You know, I'll do the biggest projects to the smallest projects because I like working. If you're, you know, Leslie Nielsen said it once, if you're an actor and you're not working, you're not acting. You know, you are an actor, but you're not acting. You're not doing what you love. Yeah. I like doing what I love. There's a B horror movie in Florida that there's a guy, I think he's a real go-getter. And I wanted to be a project on that project, and he cast me one of the leads there because he's like, "Oh my God, you'll really work on my project because I'm not a big name and I can't pay, you know, very much." And I'm like, "Right, but I believe in you. I like you, and I have free time that I'm not working right now." And if, you know, once, of course, COVID put a damper on that, but I said to him, I said, once the world returns to normal, even if it's like 2 years from now, I still want to do that project. Yeah, because I think he has potential, even if it's not with this project. A few years from now, maybe he'll do others, and I want to be kind of with him on that team. You know, at the beginning, on the ground floor, when he's struggling to do B movies, I want to be with him and support that because I think he has potential. Yeah, you know,
you want to be there for them when before, you know. just make connections everywhere. Fucking build a bridge. Everything you need to do, and when that right project comes around, it's like, hey, it's my friend too. We've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe, good
Oh,
stuff
look,
is gonna come your way.
Think about this. Okay, we're on a podcast right now. It's not as big as the podcast I do weekly. That podcast I do weekly is not as big as Lost. It's like a difference of 7 million viewers, 7,000 viewers, 200 viewers. If I like the project, I'm going to treat it just as well. This project to that project. Right. It's all work. And I'm going to give 1,000% because if someone like, I'm honored to be invited on to your podcast. So I'm not going to come in and shit in your parade. I'm happy to be here. I'm going to give you 1,000% of my time because you gave me the honor of inviting me here. I'm going to do just as good a job for you as I do for Johnny, as I do for ABC, because it's all work. It's all work.
It's all promotion. It's all work.
It's fun for me. This is what I like to do is entertain. If I can make an audience laugh or answer questions in a world they may not have access to, I'm thrilled. I'm flattered and I'm grateful.
I'm just gonna go point. Some of the best cult classics are B movies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My first professional work was a B movie called Depraved. It's a horror movie that like just about nobody saw, and it's ridiculous and silly, but it was what made me not want to be a lawyer, which is where I was going. I was like, I'm either going to open some business or I'm going to be a lawyer because I'm studying law. And then all of a sudden I'm invited to be an over-the-top character on the set. And they're like, didn't you do stand-up comedy once? I'm like, yeah, last year. And they're like, well, try this character and read these lines for me. And all of a sudden I was like mesmerized. I was like, wow, this is fun. This is cool. And the next thing you know, I'm showing up on set on the days I'm not working just to hold the boom mic for another character. For a no-budget movie because I'm into it. Because I like to entertain. This is what I like to do. Don't
worry about it. I'll get away to get you.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because over here, we don't have I don't think we can in Texas. We can't have agents. We have to have an agency that represents us. So you have to pay so much money. You get thrown in a Rolodex. Maybe you'll get your call back.
Exactly.
I don't like that.
Yeah, a lot of times it's just there are people I've met at Comic-Cons and. Thank you, Miss Jackie. There are times I've met people at Comic-Cons that they're just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna do this little thing on YouTube and whatever," and I'm like, "Do you have a spot for me? You want to do it?" I was like, "Yeah,
anything." You're cutting out the middleman. You're going straight to the source, and you're asking right there. And a lot of people won't do that. They'll be like, I'll have your people contact my people. No, I am my people.
I've been to
you
that
are the
shit.
people. Yeah,
I've been to that shit. Yeah, Mankuta will do lunch. Have my girl give you her number. It's like blah blah blah. If you want to do lunch, here's my cell phone. Call me. We'll do lunch. Just do lunch. Don't make it a thing. Do lunch with me.
More like we did dinner with you and we didn't even know you and fucking had an amazing time. And now I'm literally craving more Mari's.
No.
Mari's Italian in Anaheim. If anyone out here gets the chance to go to Anaheim by Disney, Mari's Italian food is my favorite Italian restaurant in LA. I love the place.
I love the place. I thought
it's in Orange County, but it's I love the place.
I thought I was going to have it when this year for NAMM, and I was like, oh, I'm going to eat at Mari's at least 3 times this week. No.
Yeah, no, a lot of people are like, hey, how do you know this person? How do you know this person? It's like, I'm friends with people because I like making friends.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care if you're on a stage in front of 200,000 people or you're on a show or a movie or whatever, as much as you're hanging backstage. There's one thing I learned, and I learned it from Robert De Niro, and this is funny. I remember SNL when I first started my first episode of SNL. Robert De Niro was the guest, And I was like mind blown, like, oh my God, I'm going to be in a skit with Robert De Niro. And I shared a joke with him on set, blah, 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 and whatever. And the big thing I remember about that episode was it was snowing out. And Robert De Niro, there were fans. One of the things about SNL, when the show ends, there's fans waiting outside the exit door that you leave backstage, from 30 Rockefeller Plaza. Yeah. And they're always wanting, autograph or a photo or whatever. And, we're all leaving, we all leave together. And Robert, it's snowing out. It's snowing like a motherfucker. And here's Robert De Niro, one of the biggest stars of the world. And he's out there in the snow, and he's not a very social guy, but he gets the value of fans. And he's sitting there signing things and taking a photo and being friendly. And again, not a talkative guy, but he says these people are outside waiting. And I'm picking up on this. I'm like, you know what? I feel the same way about fans. If anyone gives a shit to talk to me, to ask me for an autograph or a photo or a question, I'm flattered. I'm really flattered. So I'll give 1,000%. Now, while Robert De Niro is mentally teaching me this lesson by example, here comes Chris Kattan. He used to be on SNL. He was
Chris Kattan,
movie comedy guy. Not Night at the Roxbury. Now this little dildo comes barreling through with some chick on his arm, and he's pushing people aside. And they're like, "Oh, Mr. Kattan, can I get a photo?" He's like, "No, I'm sorry. I just want to get out of here right now." And he's just pushing past people. And I'm just looking and I'm seeing here's De Niro getting snow all over him. He's not a big social guy, but he's attending to fans. And here's Kattan, again, a known guy. He's got a movie here or two, and he's on SNL. He's a working mainstream comedy actor. And here he's pushing away fans. And I'm like, I want to be like that. I want to be De Niro. I want to be that guy. Yeah. Forgetting his fame and success, I want to be appreciative to fans like that guy.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's the big thing for me. And people say, how do you know this rock star? How do you know because I like making friends the same as you, the stranger I just met, that's just asking me a lost question, and you, the person that's an Oscar winner that I'm doing a scene with in a movie. Yeah. Same person to me. Same respect, same, let's go grab lunch. Let's talk about comic books. Let's talk about music. Do you have a cute friend for me? Same. No, but that's why I know certain people, because to me, I go to, your backyard party where you're serving hot dogs the same as the Comic-Con Entertainment Weekly party that's all red carpet. Right. I understand that's Seth MacFarlane, and that's a guy who can't get in. But you know what? I'm going to try to get that guy in. Yeah. Do I have a +1 on my thing? I do. Oh, yeah, you do. Do you have a +1? Yeah. What's your name? Robert? Robert is my +1. And I've done that. I've done that. I've literally done that to people I'm standing online for who have literally said, I have no way to get in, but, I'm going to try anyway. And it's like, I've had it done for me. Yeah. Yep. Because I'm not a somebody. I'm a D-list. I'm the low man on the totem pole.
Hey, but you're
still that's how it's been with me in the music industry. Yeah, that's how it's been with me when I was working at a venue. Like this one dude I remember at a concert, he wanted to get in so bad, the show was completely sold out. Someone earlier in the day came to me and was like, I have an extra ticket, I can't find anybody to sell it to, and I'm going alone, so can you find somebody to give this to? So
totally, dude.
Yeah,
right here.
He banged the front gates. He couldn't get in. I was like, all right, bro, come with me outside when I go on my smoke break and stuff like that. And I was just like, here you go. Go have fun.
Sandra brings up a really good point. Sandra has a podcast and she gets it. Audience is important. Audience is everything.
Oh, yeah.
Fans are everything. No matter what gig I get, if I don't have fans that want to watch me or want to talk to me afterwards or ask me questions, I have nothing. Then I'm just a guy doing the motions. If I'm not doing it for the fans, there's no reason. So I always say this. appreciate, and bend over backwards for your fans. And when I say fans, even if someone just comes up to me, like I said, with a Lost question, that to me, okay, they're a fan of Lost more than my character on Lost, but they're a Lost fan, and I'm part of that mythos. So, I've had people literally that I've seen afraid to approach me at times, and I'm the opposite of that guy. I remember one guy. I'm walking. This was when Hollywood Treasure was big. I'm walking in the supermarket. I'm like squeezing melons like a pervert, like cantaloupe. And the guy next to me, he's like, he's laying out cucumbers. Joke in there somewhere, and
I got that one.
Yeah, and the guy just looks up. He does a double take right in front of me. He's like, You're Hollywood Treasure. And I'm like, yeah, I'm John. I'm on Hollywood Treasure. How are you, man? Hey, thanks for recognizing me. And he's like kind of dumbfounded, like I'm like somebody big, and I'm not. I just happen to be on TV. And yeah, I'm sitting there like about to jerk off on your produce. I'm not. Believe me, man. This crusty socks under my bed. I'm gonna add another one later, thinking of your melons.
Right?
And no, but the guy was just so shocked to see me there, and like he didn't know what to say. And I'm like, hey, I'm John. What's your name? And, just talk to people. And like I've gone out of my way for fans. I've driven to like airports to like meet people that are like, hey, I'm gonna be over for a 4-hour layover, but I can't leave the airport. Is there any way you would sign my Lost poster? I'm like, you have a Lost poster with you? And she's like, yeah, because I'm carrying it to this convention in New York. And I'm like, and I literally drove to an airport to sign this woman's Lost poster because she cared enough to ask for me. You bet I'll do that.
Why not?
You bet I'll do that. Because
why not?
I appreciate people. That's my big thing. I really appreciate people.
Did any girl come up to you? You said, "You're Mankuta." Woo!
Yeah, I know. I have many times autographed boobs. I love it. And make no mistake, we're in an age where you got to make sure, like
you can.
You want me, it's like, could you autograph my body is a loaded question. It's like, where do you want me to autograph? Anywhere you want. Anywhere I want, like anywhere where. Like, your arm, your cheek, your boob. What do you want? It's like, you can autograph my boob. Oh, okay. Can I hold it steady? I mean, you got to go through the motion. It's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be, But there's some people that don't differentiate between the distance. Also, years ago, and I had this on my Facebook page. If you don't follow me on Facebook, follow me on Facebook or Instagram. It's Jonathan Mankuta. This woman walked up to me in a store and recognized me from, I was doing All My Children that week. And I was doing it with Chadwick Boseman, who was the Black Panther and unfortunately passed away. But I was in his scenes as a drug addict. And this woman, I don't even know how she recognized me because I only had one line and it's, "Hey man, take it easy." But obviously these soap opera people were like, these soap opera people are like really
they're
devoted.
very hardcore.
Right. No, and this was an older woman, and she's just like, why didn't you grab the knife? And I'm like, what? I'm sorry. She's like, you were in All My Children this afternoon. And I was like, or not this afternoon, this week. And I was like, well, yes, I was. And I was like shocked that she recognized me. And she's like, why didn't you just grab the knife from him? And I'm just like, it's not in the script. I'm not a real drug addict. I'm not real. It's an act. It's just an act. It's, and I've had people ask me like, I'm lost. Why were you so mean? Why'd you beat people up? I was like, it's in the script. Because a director that's getting paid $1 million to point at me and command me is saying, okay, that's Obama to you, and someone's trying to assassinate Obama. Get your gun trained on him and look like you're ready to shoot him at any second. Yes, sir. That's my job. On a set, my biggest line is, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
If you do anything else, you'll be going into business for yourself. You might get fired. You don't want to go there.
No, absolutely. It's like, No, but people don't differentiate between the character you play and, it's like Hollywood Treasure. They had me tone down my humor. They're like, okay, up, play to your intelligence.
I noticed that. I noticed
play to your intelligence, but cut down the jokes. And initially, when the show first started, they had me doing all sorts of wacky stuff, playing with topic, being myself, goofy, crazy stuff. No foul language, of course, because it's
later on you were literally like tight-lipped, and you were giving the motions every time they said something. You gave emotion out with your face and your body swivel, and I was just like, I know he wants to say something, but he's not going to say anything. He's keeping. They're giving him a tight lip right now.
You are so spot on, because here's the thing: that was such a conflicting job, because it's like you didn't
look happy for a second.
You had me first hired as the crazy, wild personality. And and they had me doing like, okay, you're on the desk, you put on this helmet, you can't, the Stargate helmet, you can't see, and I said I could do some of my own stunts. So like literally I'm supposed to fall off this table with the Stargate helmet on and come up and dizzy and whatever. And they thought it was funny, but then the owner of the business that show was based on said, no, we can't have a mockery of my business. So they were clashing heads constantly. And he's like, I'm not going to do this show. This show's going to be off the air in a day if I say so. You guys have to take my business seriously. So all of a sudden the humor element was gone. For the most part, for what they hired me for was gone. So now they're like, okay, John, you are knowledgeable. You are an expert in the field. That's what I'm saying.
You did come out on top because of your information.
Right, because I am knowledgeable. I'm very knowledgeable about this stuff. So they said, we're playing more to your intelligence.
There it is. Yeah. And that's why I saw it was more tight-lipped, because you were playing more into the intelligent role. Right. But you wanted to say some stuff. I know that.
There was so many scenes that they shot every season that in production meetings, here's the owner of the business saying, no, no, no. Here's the production company and Sci-Fi Network saying, this is comedy gold, and they clash. And the next thing you know, this scene is cut, this episode's cut, I'm out of this episode. They were always conflicted on that. There's one scene, I love this scene, where I'm in a diner in Oklahoma with Joe, and I order Rocky Mountain oysters, which are bull ball.
I think I've seen this one.
Yeah. And Joe left the scene forgetting to do the action of paying the check. He just walked out of the restaurant thinking, all right, let's go. And he forgot to pay the check. So I played on that improv, and I was like, wait, hold on. I don't have money for the check. And wait, $30 for Rocky Mountain oysters? And, it was a really funny scene. And even the people in the diner who didn't know what was going on, they're laughing at watching it. And it got on the cutting room floor, because Sci-Fi is like, we want this. And he's like, I won't joke about my business. So this is at the end.
Joe was the one that was okay.
And I understand something. He's my best friend. He's like my brother. Literally his family.
But he toned you down on that for a reason.
Because it's his business. This is how he makes a living. And at the end of the day, that is going to be where my loyalty lies. Right. I mean, I'm on that show. I just finished Lost, and he basically suggested me to the casting directors. They're like, all right, we want to give you 2 other people to work with, maybe 3. Who do you suggest? And he's like, Mankuta. Mankuta, he's brilliant. He just came from Lost. He's got a fan base. He's very funny. He's very knowledgeable. I can work with him. And they're like, okay, bring him out. I read for them. I tried a few screen tests and shit, and I was on the show. I was one of the stars of the show.
Did he do the same thing with other people too as well?
The other people he brought in were, I
forget their names. I know
there was Tracy, the girl.
Gracie or Tracy? Yeah,
Tracy, and she was more brought in because we needed some eye candy. We really, she was very close with the business, but she's not an expert as much as they made her to be.
That's weird that you said that. God damn it!
If you're watching for it, you'll pick up on it. No. But then there's Brian. Brian was an expert, but he doesn't have an outgoing personality.
Brian was the whiter guy.
The other tall guy with dark hair.
Okay, I remember there was. Okay, so there was two other guys then.
There was Joe the owner. There was me. There was Brian, and then there was Tracy.
Okay, Brian.
But if anyone wants to watch Hollywood Treasure, you could stream all 30 episodes on. I guess all the streaming services offer it now. But the last 6, they really got into conflict about me. One producer basically put me in these great storylines, and I was traveling all over and doing some great stories, but there was too much comedy in there for the business end of it, so they conflicted. And that's kind of where, like, in the last 6 episodes, you don't see me more than certain amount, and normally I'm like one of the principals, because they just cut the stories. They were just sci-fi,
It was like 10-minute episodes almost. That's what it reminded me of.
Well, it was like all of a sudden I went from, you see me, 40 out of the 60 minutes as one of the main characters of the show, and the last 6, it's like, cancel that story. I don't want to do that story. It's too comedic. No. And that's basically what stopped. The fans were not the reason the show stopped. Sci-fi was not the reason the show stopped. We were up for renewal, and the fans were great. We had a real good viership. We're probably about like a 2 million viewership, which for sci-fi, that's awesome. A good.
That's good.
They don't advertise.
All they had was was WWE.
Battlestar. That Battlestar.
Yeah.
And that was the only one. Yeah, that was the only thing they ever advertised for was really Battlestar. And even then, they put out like 2 ads. They were all word of mouth on that network. Meanwhile, I met once with the Pawn Stars guys, and I'm like, you guys are on like buses and jumbotrons and whatever. And I'm like, man, we should have gone with your network. Because when that show first got bought, there were networks fighting over it. They loved the concept, And we went with Sci-Fi because they offered us initially the most money, but they wouldn't advertise, so they had more of a budget to pay the actors, which was great. But it got to a point. Yeah, it got to a point where, like, I loved doing the show, but it was just frustrating, like, doing all these scenes that I'm like, wow, this is like TV gold. And then knowing that it would go into a boardroom and Sci-Fi would be here and, Joe's business would be here, and they'd lock horns constantly over it.
It's like a hashtag Mankuta cut. That's what we need.
I know, right? No, there was some great stories.
Yeah, just some of the stuff that's off the cutting room floor. Just put it as a side story.
So I guess Bent Tom's asking Kuda a question. He's asking how many years could it take before you could riff on any topic, or was it something that just came to you?
How many years? I'm a little confused at the question.
So he's asking, did you take you to learn how to go, be able to go anywhere in acting, music, and go into these podcasts and stuff like that, and be able to just talk about almost anything? Someone will bring up a topic and just go off of it.
I grew up as the class clown of my school, so I've always been very good at improv comedy, at just talking off the top of my head. I'm very good at just making jokes, making people laugh, and I'm very knowledgeable on a lot of fields. So it's not something that you kind of learn; it's something you're kind of born with. You can't really develop a personality, by the textbook. It just has to come with the way you're raised. I grew up in an area where there was a lot of diversity and a lot of kids, so I never grew up like judging someone because of their race, religion, or anything like that. I never, everything was always a joke to me. I was always able to make my classmates laugh. So you just kind of have that outgoing personality where you're not shy. You make more friends and you talk more and you joke more, and it just, it just kind of develops. My man, Fruitcake Tony in the chat. How are you, man?
Hey.
I was on Tony's show yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. I was watching the replay of that.
The Steel Panther episode. Thank you for having me on, Tony.
Man,
but that's it.
episode.
Yeah, but that's it. It's just I just happened to I have an outgoing personality. I like to talk. I like to be silly. I like to be the center of attention and joke. And it's not a narcissist thing, which you can mistake when you like to be the center of attention. There's a big difference when you're a narcissist, you're doing it for personal gain versus enjoyment of entertaining people and making friends. And that's why I do it. I like to joke and make people laugh and be silly. Yeah. The Johnny Beane Show, I love doing during the pandemic because it's I get fan mail that says, your jokes are a bright spot of my week. I'm going through a cancer treatment, or I lost my job, or whatever. You always make me laugh. And something like that is a big deal to me. When I can make people feel good like that, I love that. I'm honored and flattered that people can say that to me. It's such a big deal to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, and then you were definitely the funniest guys me and AJ have ever met.
Thank you, man.
It was such a pleasure meeting you guys and stuff at NAMM, and just the personality you have and the humor that goes along with it. It's just it just invites people in and stuff.
Oh, thank you, man. I mean, the thing about NAMM is, when I do NAMM, I'm friends with the family that owns Mari's. And initially, I just came in because I heard they had good clam chowder, and I love a good clam chowder. So I came in, and as a customer,
I love a good clam too.
Right? and I love a good bearded clam. Bring me that bearded clam special.
I love a good clam.
So I came in initially as a customer, and I was so taken by this chowder as a joke. I kept joking with the waitresses, and the manager came over. We heard a lot of laughter, and he's like very nice, and they're funny. And I was like, dude, I want to kiss your chef. And he's like, oh, well, you can meet the chef and tell him you like the chowder if you like. I was like, yeah. So literally, he takes me to the kitchen pass. And literally, I just dove through it. Like literally, like an idiot. I just dove in into the kitchen. I pulled myself across the pass into the kitchen. The guy's like, dude. And I walk over, I just hug the chef. I was like, your chowder's so delicious. Thank you. And they're all laughing on the line. And since then, I've been friends with the owners who own the restaurant. And every night at NAMM, they set me aside a private party table. And I just bring friends down for like big Italian dinners. And just, you guys were there. And you saw all the people there. I had my girlfriend at the time. The Johnny Beane cast who was there, and Zane Zimmerman was there, and just a couple of other new friends.
Jason McNamara.
Jason McNamara is a good friend of mine. Friends of friends of friends.
Captain.
All welcome on. Michael the Captain Smith.
Everyone was there.
Caleb Rappaport of Nerd Halen. Just all my just a lot of people at this party table. And every night we would have these beautiful, fun Italian dinners. Everyone's pigging out and laughing and drinking, just having a great time, Sandra Picorni and Ricky, I invited whoever is someone I know at NAMM. Just, when we get back to NAMM, whenever that is,
wait.
I always, everyone's invited, and I'll find room for you. I'll find room for you.
This NAMM, I had been planning to, I found out that there's a jam room not far from the convention center. So I was going to rent a whole room for a night or two and just have everybody just meet up there and just, instruments everywhere, jamming session, live stream. It would have been fucking sick.
Because we always have that problem at NAMM. We can't hear each other, so let's go to a
right? I mean, look,
we can't hear each other, so it's like I would have had the instruments right there for us.
There's two events that every year I would always look forward to, and that's NAMM in January and Comic-Con in July. Yeah, San Diego Comic-Con, the big one.
Yeah.
And I would always want to be at whatever party was there, whatever dinner was going on, whatever. So it's like, I just want to hang out with friends. That's my biggest thing, is I want to hang out with friends, make new friends, goof around, and it's who's at the table, It's like, I just want to have a good time. and everyone around me to have a good time and say, hey, you know, I went to Mankuta's dinner at NAMM. Oh my God, what a great time we all had, just hanging out from all around the world and talking music and comedy and silliness and meeting new friends and making connections. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what band you're in. It doesn't matter, you know, what you do, whether you're doing a podcast or you're in a band or you're selling merch or you're a guitar maker. You know, we had, you know, a couple of the BC Rich, custom shop guys there and some Charvel custom shop guys. Everyone just come hang out, have fun.
Right.
That's what it's about.
The lovely thing about NAMM. That's what I love about it every year.
And Mari's clam chowder.
Oh, can't forget about that clam chowder. Whoa.
Oh, that lasagna.
Honestly, all their food is just so good there.
All their food is awesome. I love Mari's.
Never had lasagna that didn't have burnt cheese on it.
It's so good.
It was so like good. Soup.
And I eat there every night. Every night there's a party table waiting for me. So it's like every night.
It's not like expensive either. That's the lovely thing either.
That was
no, it's not an expensive place, but the food is so damn good.
Yeah,
the food is so good. And you know what? It's a family business place, and I just love supporting them because they're so good to me. They're so good to me. They're like, hey, John, you know. Meanwhile, there's like, you know, lines out the door waiting to get on the list for a table, and they're always like, you know, hey, what about that big table at 20? That's reserved for a private party. And every night it's there, and every night I say to them, I said, bro, every night I will fill that table. You just trust me. And they're so good. I make sure to, you know, tip the waiters extra because they're really nice over there. They're really, really nice over there.
Yeah,
they were amazing.
I was waiting at the time, so like I definitely tipped that waiter more than I should have. But it was
they're so nice.
It was because they deserved it.
They do.
Like,
and again, if my party is tying up your table, because I used to be a busboy years ago, and I remember like seeing these party tables tie up a waitress's station like all night and then pay, you know, 10% of the tip or whatever, when they could have had, you know, table after table after table making the money. So you want to do the right thing, you know, you just got to do the right thing.
Yeah. Oh, I paid fucking 100% because that thing was only $15. So I was like, well, here's 15 for you.
Yeah, I always make sure, especially there, just, you know, I always take extra good care of the staff because
I mean, compared to like the $30 burger you get from the food truck at NAMM, I mean,
I know, right? It's funny. Giant plate of Italian food is $15, and you go the grilled cheese truck, and they're like, all right, this is 18 for your sandwich. I'm like, really?
It's a cookie. Where's my sandwich?
Yeah.
That's what probably would blew my money. That and the fucking the drinks at the bar. Oh, but the bar was fucking one thing. But going out to eat at other places, I was like, dude, fuck the bar, dude. I should have never went to the bar. I should have just bought beer at fucking 7-Eleven, went to these fucking amazing places around here because I'm like, I'm not gonna be out here again for about a year.
You can get a beer anywhere, and I used to bartend too, so I always say this: people go to bars to socialize. They don't go for the $6 beer.
Not used to because we have like beer in Walgreens, and we have beer in all of our convenience stores over in Texas. They don't have all that, and then they're like liquor stores closed.
Well, we got beers in Walgreens. We just don't have liquor. I just saw liquor everywhere, and I was like, "What is going on?"
Candy is dandy,
like Joe Schmo over there.
Like I see Terry made it.
There you go. Hey, Terry, how are you, man?
Gs. You need to upgrade to 5G now. Seriously.
and yeah, Sandra Picorni should be a moderator here because she's awesome.
Yes. Is it Sandra or Sandra? I don't want to.
I think it's Sandra.
Sandra? Okay. So we're saying Sandra.
Like Sand.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, she's awesome. She needs.
Yeah, I see her in Johnny Beane's chat a lot.
Oh, she's one of the best viewers on Johnny Beane's channel. She's awesome. And again, she knows because she runs her own podcast. There it is.
Bloop.
No,
there it is.
She's wrenching.
Sandra's got a wrench now.
She's
well earned.
Watch out. Everyone be on the best behavior. All right, guys, we're gonna start winding down here and stuff. John, you got anything like promote that you got coming up and stuff?
Just basically Tuesday nights on YouTube on the Johnny Beane TV channel, talking guitars and 80s metal live. I'm blessed to have a partner on air, Neanderthal, who is just incredibly talented and hilarious. So, between us and Johnny, we try to do our best to like brighten everyone's Tuesday night with a lot of comedy and, talk about metal, talk about guitars, and just talk about everything. Maybe talk about what's going on with my mother and just general things in life and pop culture silliness. It's just a lot of fun and it's funny. Other than that, I mean, Hollywood Treasure is streaming. Lost, of course, is streaming. Veep, which we didn't touch on. I was a congressman on Veep.
Veep. I love that show, man.
Residual checks for me if you stream Veep.
We can always have another show. So,
hey, which one do you get royalties on? Because I'll buy that right now. I'll tell you that.
Well, Veep, I get residual checks on. I mean, there are
what
things
about Hollywood Treasures? No.
Hollywood Treasure, I get a small amount because it's quote unquote a reality show, so it's different different.
I mean, reality
guidelines. Well, here's the thing: Hollywood Treasure was one of the more realistic. There were a few things that we recreated, like the auctions. A lot of times we had to dub in a different audience than we were.
Dude on the phone every time.
Well, no. The cast is fine. Because we're union or some of us are union. I am. But the audience, if you're bidding on a $200,000 item, you may not want to be on TV that day raising your paddle for whatever reason. Maybe your wife doesn't know you bought a Terminator hand or something, or Star Wars lightsaber. So, right. And your accountant might be pulling his hair out. So, we would take that live audience.
Jamie Lee Curtis's panties or something.
Yeah. I'm going to sniff them for authenticity. No, you don't want to always be seen as buying something. And, so we would, sometimes dub over fixed shots of a different audience to raising paddles. So.
You could tell when the awkward shots get cut in there.
Yeah, and so that's where
me being an editor and everything, like I can tell when something's like a little awry, like something stinks over here. I know. It's a filler. It's a what do you call it? An insert.
It's an edit insert for sure. Yeah. And make no mistake, there are times they'll know certain amounts of things. They're not going to fly us over cross country to find this if it's probably not there. They may not tell me that, okay, we found that this is going to be there, but they've at least done some preliminary legwork to say either, hey, it's going to work out that this is going to be there, or it won't be there and it'll still be an interesting episode looking for it. Yeah. But to that aspect, it wasn't scripted like a lot of episodes of Pawn Stars are, where, stuff that isn't really walking in there.
Hardcore Pawn.
Body. You have Sean Connery's dead body? Yes, I do. Wow. I'll give you $30 for it. I'm sorry. That's the best I can do is 35. It's like, a lot of those are set up. Hollywood Treasure had a lot of realism in it, in that they would, again, organize the storylines, but we would actually find these things or look for them and fail. And either way, it would be a good story.
By the way, it always looked like everybody was strong arming the people. It's like, this would be a really, really, really good for our charity. And they was like, I don't want to part with it. I don't want to part with it. So I was like, dude, what's behind the scenes on that? I'll part with it. I'm just like, well, here's your check. All right. Here you go. Right.
We had a lot. First, let me just thank you, Miss Jackie. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I really do. When you're doing stuff for charity, like we did a lot of episodes with proceeds going to charity and Hollywood Treasure, and that's something I can always get behind, because like I said, I do so much charity work on my own and I love it. And again, if you missed October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, nothing sexy about breast cancer.
No.
You want to save
the tatas.
Just get a mammogram, all right? If you missed October. I'm very, very big on a lot of charities and, animal charities, adoptions, and, big behind that. But anyway, like I was saying, anytime we would do a charity episode of Hollywood Treasure, we would basically set up either, okay, this guy's going to donate his prop to our charity auction, or Sci-Fi is going to buy it behind the scenes so that he could donate it on air, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. So there was pressure to actually get people to, you know, give things to charity, but there was also, hey, listen, if this is really going to bother you, we're going to do this on air. If this is going to bother you, just rest assured, we'll give you your money, but the item's going to go to charity, and Sci-Fi will just write it off as a tax deduction.
I mean, they signed the contract already. They're good to go. So
Yeah,
it's like you can make double the money. You can. I mean, some of the stuff was rarity with the Jim Henson stuff. I was just like, Jesus Christ, this guy looks like he doesn't even want to part with it. But you know, yeah, you did that sweet talking, Kuda.
Hey, listen, I am a good negotiator. That is another talent I have.
Is that where you got that shield behind you?
That cap shield, this is interesting. This belonged to Rob Cohen, who's a movie director. This was in his house. He directed a Marvel commercial for one of the Disney amusement parks that has a Marvel thing in it. And in that commercial in Japan where it aired, it had Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor running at the amusement park, and Cap throws the shield. That's the actual shield that Captain America was carrying.
Sweet.
So it's a Marvel Studio made shield used for a TV commercial in Japan. So
It's pretty
awesome.
heavy then.
no, it's actually light. It's like, it's made of vibranium. No, it's
vibranium,
it's like heavy aluminum and leather, and there's some hidden straps so the actor can wear it on his back and and stuff like that. Also, let me just put out there real quick, I'm a big collector of comic book original artwork. Like when I read a lot of comic books, vintage ones from like the 70s and 80s especially, but even the new stuff today, I read tons of them. When a comic book is made, there is actual drawings made for the actual comic book. Well, like what I collect is they're like kind of big and black and white.
I know what you're talking about.
Let me grab it real quick.
Go for it.
I just have it right over there. Hold on.
Yeah, if you go to the left too far, like you'll see like Mankuta's like thousands of guitars.
My dildo collection.
Yeah, dildo collection.
Great stuff.
It was the 80s. It was a time to be
I
alive.
thought you would have had flashlights at least.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm a huge comic book fan. So like if you're talking about like the storyboards and like
in a comic book, okay, for animation, they do different things. Like animation, I'll grab an animation cell here too to show you the difference.
You a cell? Oh, you got cells there?
I collect everything. I collect old candy wrappers. I collect vintage candy wrappers, and I collect cereal boxes from the 70s and 80s, and this was a gift. I'll show you this too. This was a gift on an episode of Hollywood Treasure. We had the makers of the original Genie bottle from I Dream of Genie. We had them as guests, and they make really high-end replicas out of brass of the bottle.
Ooh.
So one of them gifted me this
a few days ago. What the fuck?
One of them gifted me this, and it's an exact replica of the Genie bottle.
So cool.
Which we've handled the original ones. The original ones were old Jim Beam bottles made of glass from the 60s and painted. This one's made of brass just to be durable and whatnot. And they sell for like $500 or something. And he gifted me one after the episode of the show. He gifted one to me and one to Joe. Joe got Jeannie's sister, who's a green bottle, and I took Jeannie's original purple.
Jeannie's sister.
Nice.
Yeah, the brunette. She looked good, right?
Oh yeah.
See, and then you got stuff like this. Like this is a 1970s Fruit Brute cereal box.
Oh, that's
it's a flattened cereal box.
We were just talking about old school series that aren't around anymore. That's one of them.
Yeah, this box is from like 1976. Right around there, 1975, 76. So this is an actual cereal box from 76, but it's a $6,000 cereal box because it's a really rare item to find, people threw these things out. Like I have like old Hostess fruit pie wrappers from the 1970s and candy bar wrappers from the 1970s and 80s, stuff like that. And I collect all these things out of nostalgia.
Yeah,
I
want to taste that cereal though. Who's got the play?
They brought it back in name in 2015, but it was a totally different cereal. So they'll never make something like that again. Now, what I was saying is animation. Here's a quick lesson for you. Animation sells
one by
like here's one from a cartoon called The Young Sentinels or The Space Sentinels, depending on what year you saw them. But like. That's an animation cell from the 70s. And what it is, the cell itself, it's an acetate that's been painted.
Yeah.
And that's a half a second of animation.
But that is literally on the show.
Yeah, this is what you see on the show. This is one of they flick by 1,000 of these, per 2 minutes or something. And that's what makes it move. They just repaint and repaint and repaint, but it's paint on acetate. You'd see like, I just took Hercules' head off.
Yeah.
There you go. On the layers. So,
they need the head different. And if you ever noticed that like the colors sometimes were a little bit off when you would know that the movable parts were there.
Yeah. And again, that's animation. So that's an animation cell. They do so many of those for motion in various scenes and whatever, and that would give you the moving cartoon. Comic book artwork by the different token. I'm gonna take this out because I see it glossing over in the screen. This is the hand-drawn page of comic book art from the series Infinity Gauntlet, which is a Marvel series that had, basically what the Avengers movies were based on. Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet versus the Avengers. There's Captain America fighting Thanos, and he's being
an original storyboard art, right?
Yeah, what it is something like this. Hey, Divine, welcome.
Divine, that's our Australian sister.
Cool, man. Hey. Aussie. Oi. I learned a lot in the month and a half I did that movie in Australia. I learned a lot about Australian and New Zealand cultures. So very cool people. I love it. The only thing I don't like is Vegemite. That stuff is disgusting.
Dude, I just said the same shit.
I know. I learned how to eat it. Like they said, all right, you have to take a toast, you butter it, and then you put a little spread of Vegemite on there and you eat it. I was like, it tastes like a salty ball sack. I'm like, how do you eat that? And they're like, it's a nostalgic taste. And I get, like I said, I get the nostalgic element. I get the nostalgic element, but it's like, oh my God, it tastes gross. But then there's other stuff. It's like mushy peas, pies. They're delicious. And, there's a lot of cool food over there,
It's all right.
Vegemite's not one of them.
Their ozone isn't working, so they're getting a little heat exhaustion. So I don't know what's going on with their taste buds over there.
The Australian people are awesome. They're super,
I would say their kangaroo salami, from what I hear, fantastic. I want to get some of that.
The only food I didn't like there was Vegemite. Everything else I was like all about.
Kangaroos?
Oh yeah.
Kangaroos were cool. They're common over there like deer are in New York. So
did you ever eat it like kangaroo meat over there?
I had kangaroo meat, not there, but I tasted it once. I think during a Brazilian, all you could eat meat.
Wow.
Churacu. I can never pronounce the word, but those Brazilian meat restaurants that serve all exotic meats, boar and ostrich and all the exotic meats, and they had I'll eat anything but cat and dog, that's or horse. I won't eat horse, but other than that, I'm really, really adventurous. I'm a total foodie.
Same.
I mean, my favorite stuff is like smokehouse barbecue from down south, New York pizza, bagels, and Jewish deli, good Chinese food. But here and there, I'm a total foodie. I'll try just about everything. But anyway, comic book original artwork. So at some point, for a page of a comic book, like here you have a comic book. Here's what it looks like published. Okay, it's color, and there's all the
Dude,
heroes,
yeah.
and the
It's got
panels.
the dots, the
Okay.
red and white dot.
Yeah.
That's
red
the
dots in
printed
between the
version.
white-
Before it can be printed, they take something like this. They take a board
Mhm.
and in pencil, they draw it, and then an inker traces over it in ink, and you have the big black and white images of the comic book panel.
That's
Then
awesome.
they take
Yeah.
these and print them. So now what I do is for comic books that I'm very nostalgic about, and my sweet spot is about 1976 to 1986, like right in there. That's like my sweet favorite time period of comic books, even though I read like every year. I love certain books, the covers of certain comic books that I read as a kid, that I've searched for as an adult. Certain images hold really powerful nostalgia. So I want the actual hand-drawn artwork of that image,
Right.
you know? And I look for those, and they go for a lot of money sometimes. But like this is a page I like because it's Captain America fighting Thanos, and he's basically saying right to his face, here's a god basically who could crush you to the thought, and Captain America's looking him in the eye all boldly, and Cap's one of my favorite role models.
So awesome.
And he's like, as long as one man stands against you, Thanos, you will never be able to reclaim victory. And Thanos is like shocked looking at him. He's like, noble sentiments from one who's about to die. I mean, he's just like so bewildered because he's like, I just snapped a finger and blew up a planet, and you're walking up to my face and in my face and saying, as long as one man stands against you, you can't win. And I'm that guy. It's like, damn, man, that's my role model. That's my guy, Captain America. Hell yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. So I buy
my side.
I particularly like covers and pages from like that late 70s to early 80s period. And, this is what they look like, comic book original artwork. So
you got the artist name on there?
It's awesome.
This particular one is Ron Lim and George Perez that did this particular
collaboration. Nice.
Yeah. There's always one person that pencils it and one person that inks it. But that's
I got you.
The type of thing. I have a lot of it. I have covers of comic books that I really like. And
wasn't that a joke on a movie where it's like, oh, you're just a tracer? I'm not was it a Jay and Silent Bob maybe? I think.
It was one of Kevin Smith's movies because Kevin Smith also works in the comic book industry, writes, and he's also a very big comic book. He collects comic book original artwork too. And just there's something about like when you're a kid and you're looking at a newsstand of comic books. And I grew up very poor, so like really poor. So like I was bending over backwards, not literally, to raise money to buy comic books because we grew up really poor. So when I bought a comic book, that image of that cover really had to capture my eye for me to like say, okay, here's my hard-earned 35 cents, and as an adult, that image holds such a powerful nostalgia that I want that actual original drawing of that comic book,
No, I understand that because I have original X-Men, I think it's like 27. And I'm just like, I will never, ever open. I read it once in my lifetime.
Comic book?
Yeah.
Comic book? Okay.
I read it once in my lifetime. I'll never read. It's online now. I could fucking just like.
Well, I mean,
it's not the same thing, but I have it there in a fucking. It's one of my prized. That one and the one that's I have a Frank Miller signed one, comic.
Yeah. Like Daredevil or something, or
it's
Dark Knight, Daredevil.
It's actually Batman, Spider-Man.
Okay.
It's a weird one. That's
a Marvel DC crossover.
Yeah. I think it's Frank Miller. Honestly, it might have been the second guy, and I have another one with Frank Miller because my uncle got that one. So we put ours together and we're just like together we have, we got the collection right here. But I'm big on comics and everything, so when it comes to like an artist or like anything that's like at least original, I am fucking gung ho for it. I'm fucking nerding out for it. I want to know,
oh, dude,
when it was fucking drawn, what they were going through. If I can get any of these, if anybody is like up for getting these guys on a podcast, I'd totally nerd out with him all day. I'd bring out comics that I have from, the 80s to 70s from,
that's my favorite period. I think that, I read comics as far back as like when they started, like in the late 1930s and 40s and 50s and, and right up to today, right off the newsstand last week, I have a collection that, covers the whole history of comics. But I think for me, at least, the most fun period of reading comics was, like I said, the late 70s to early 80s. That's
fun for me too.
That's my sweet spot. And I also have like a run of original X-Men comics from number 1 up. I bought as back issues and, spent the money and bought them. Yeah. And I'll read them. But then I also have, like, as an example,
Ooh, I like
these things. You see, I have a lot of bookshelves around my house.
Those are good too.
Yeah, I have a lot of bookshelves. These are Marvel Masterworks
ones. Yeah,
these are trade paperback, hardcover, trade paperback reprints.
Oh, those are hardcover. Okay. I have
those are cool.
I have the original runs in like the 90s when they started doing that, and it was just one comic itself, and it was all fucking paper. And it was like that. It was just all gray around the edges, and the thing would be like shorter, and because a
reprint. They made a reprint of
it. Reprints of them, but it would be like classic, old school, going back to that.
Sure, and they've done it in a lot of formats. I like, for reference, I like reading trade paperback reprints, and then I have my originals, and my originals, obviously I have the ones I grew up with, but I also have back issues that I've bought over the years and whatever. And I just enjoy the hobby. I'm a comic book geek. I'm a pop culture geek. I love things to do with childhood, like 70s and 80s toys, comic books of all periods, kids' food, like I mentioned, like candy bar wrappers, cereal boxes from like the 70s and 80s and, stuff like that. And guitars. Guitars is from my, my childhood sweet spot of that, 80s glam era. But I love everything like that. That is nostalgia. I love the power of nostalgia.
Yeah. So same here.
I love recapturing childhood memories.
I'll literally, like, sometimes I'll just go back and watch like old school like movies, or an old school like TV commercial, TV era, anything that's back then, because then was a different era. So nowadays I look at TV, I'm just like, it's not the fucking same feeling that I got, but especially when it comes to like holidays and stuff. Holidays is like really gone out the window for me now. But if I go back to like something from like the 80s, I guarantee you, I'm like, give me that RoboCop, give me that.
Transformers and G.I. Joe. I mean, look, I would wake up. Knowing is half the battle.
Because knowledge is power.
Yeah. Oh my God, Scarlett's getting undressed. You should have knocked. Well, now I know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. But it's like,
Scarlett?
Yeah, I mean, Saturday morning was a big deal when I was growing up, because I grew up Saturday morning. I'd wake up, pour a big bowl of like, Count Chocula or Boo Berry or whatever, and wake up at 7 a.m. and then start, watching a day of cartoons until about 2 o'clock. And that was my Saturday morning. And then, Sunday morning, you had, Davey and Goliath and Barba Papa and all that crap, the lesser stuff. But Saturday mornings was a big deal growing up to me. Going out and riding my bike was a big deal. Playing Atari and ColecoVision and video games like that was a big deal to me. Going to the arcade was a big deal for me like that. I have in my house full-size 80s arcade games. I have a bunch of them that I like to play. Like if you go on my Facebook, go on, Jonathan Mankuta on Facebook, you'll see there's a photo I have of the ones I have lined up in a room in my house. That you can see, and you're like, oh my God, those are like full-size arcade games, because I love them so much as a kid that as an adult now, I bought them and I put them in my house.
That's so awesome.
because that's fun. It was a different time. And then you'd come home from school, 3 p.m. and there was Battle of the Planets and Voltron and G.I. Joe and He-Man and Transformers and and that's the cool stuff that I grew up with. Now it's not like that anymore. Now you know.
It's
the
kids
are all
on now.
I sound like the Pepperidge Farm guy I always imitate. Back in my day, we used to play kick the can, and it was a hootenanny.
Even when I was like a kid, it was still like that.
Two people from a town away would come and they'd bring a hula hoop. What a crazy idea that was! It was really a part of a barrel, and we'd roll it down a dirt hill and chase it, and we'd all laugh and fall. The girls' bloomers would go in the air, and it was a crazy.
And imagine the old people. Well, there goes those crazy kids, and they're kick the can and hula hooping.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Back in my day, all we did was throw rocks at each other.
Now think about it. It's like as a kid, my parents were like, "Oh my God, he's always on that Atari. He's always on that Atari, and he puts all these quarters in that Pac-Man machine." And it's like. Mm-hmm. Now it's like every kid is just like, even if they're sitting together, they're just like.
They're on a black brick. They're on a little black brick, dude.
Right. And they're texting to each other. It's like, do you want to fuck? Yes, I would like to fuck.
Right. Oh, good. Yes or no? Circle.
Yeah. I know. Do you like me? Yes or really no? It's like,
hey, at least we're saving trees now.
No, I never realized. I never realized I would be the old guy like kicking kids off my lawn and hey, you kids, stop texting on my lawn, doing those TikTok videos.
Cut that out, TikTok.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm doing a podcast for like 7,000 people, and they're making millions of dollars doing podcasts with 30 million people, driving Lamborghinis around gold diggers, and what am I doing wrong?
Clearly, we're the wrong ones.
Unsuspected person. Yeah, it's very unsuspected when you do a damn video about it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, all right,
you don't notice the camera crew,
Yeah. Guys, I'm going to wind it on down here. John, thank you so much for being our first guest on the show for our new segment of Guessed What?
John, stick around afterwards.
Sure. Thank you guys for having me and my buddy Blue Rhino here.
Hey, we didn't even get to Blue Rhino because you know what? It's all about you right now. But we love Blue Rhino, and we'll get. We didn't want to use you for Blue Rhino tonight.
Don't worry, he'll come back as your next guest. And Mize Bodark, contact me on Facebook. Anyone that's watching, subscribe to me on Facebook. Just if you want to talk, just message me. That's how I got hold of them. Love new friends. Love new friends.
Mm-hmm. That's how we got.
Guys, thank you so much for everyone stopping by and stuff. So I'm gonna hop on out of here. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, John, so much for coming on. It's been such a pleasure and so much fun.
Thank you to the audience.
Yeah, thank you, Sandra.
Divine,
thanks,
don't worry
Divine.
about
Just
it.
Came back in.
Divine, you can watch it as a rerun. It gets better with age.
Yes, it's like Kuda.
Thank you, Sandra, for doing all of those awesome modding and stuff like that. That was really awesome. Posting all the links for everyone. Thanks, Joe, for stopping in. Fruitcake Tony, Mickey, Terry. Jana stopped in. Bent Tom was here. Bodark's always here. Miss Jackie, that's who I was missing. There it is. I knew I was missing someone. All right. Thank you all for stopping by. We're going to head on out of here. We'll catch you all later. Later.